Welcome back to the Bourbon BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 330, and we have a new studio. You guys may have been listening. What was it, last Wednesday? We had multiple people on, and we're happy to have you guys back in the garage. We have Jake Sanders, one of the co-founders of the podcast. Obviously, Nate Hale, co-host of the podcast. Spencer Lappin. It's a long-time supporter.
Honorary special mention.
I'll take it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Happy to be here.
The most frequent flyer.
I'm going to go with
the
the
podcast.
mention. I don't know about honorary.
Fourth most person on the podcast.
Honorable mention,
Including
definitely.
all these guys. I'm going to have to move that over here a little bit. I think Nate kind of shifted.
Cut off a little bit.
I'm
You
over
told me to
here.
move over this way.
Get closer to Jake.
Pull over. I'm already pulled over.
Yes.
I can't pull
Yeah.
over any farther.
The whole box here.
All
the boxes.
There you go.
There you go.
That's fun. That's
Sure,
good. Perfect.
good.
Perfect. Good job, Kyle.
All right, it's Kyle in the studio. Content Kyle. He'll be at the 10 event taking some pictures as well. But welcome back, everyone. So we're happy to have you. Make sure that you share, like, review, all that good stuff. Subscribe.
Plenty
We're going to
of
be a little maybe rusty here tonight. We're happy to have you guys officially back after about a 3-month hiatus. We are beginning again. Go ahead and pass that there. I want to thank our sponsors. If I can find them here. I'm getting text messages. Thanks to our sponsors, Tinder Box at Easton, Columbus, Ohio. Carry a lot of crowned heads, obviously. You guys are making that look real smooth. We have Smoking 10 event coming up on March 16th. We have some spots available for that. That's going to be $215 plus tax. There's going to be 12 different companies there. You're going to get about 14 cigars. There's going to be a sales table. There's going to be a bar, obviously. We're going to have a Q&A session with some of the industry leaders as well during the lunch. You get brunch and lunch. And we are extremely happy to be well over 200 tickets sold. We do have a cap. We sold 5 more today. We're doing some last-minute shoppers calling in. So
Yeah.
we're happy to have everyone come in. And Spencer, you're going to be there.
I'm going to be there bright and
You
early.
are attending Content Kyle. Like I said, you're going to be shooting the event. Jake Sanders will be representing Crowned Heads.
Yep. And Oz Family Cigars.
And Oz Family Cigars. Fantastic samplers at the sales tables, including yours.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think so. I think Brian and you and I kind of curated a really good pack. And obviously it's in my backyard and my old stomping grounds. So I wanted to come heavy. So you guys will see a really special gift if you buy 2 packs at the 10 event this year.
Fantastic.
So a lot of stuff to come.
So a lot of stuff from Crowned Heads, as well as we had Jeremy from McAuliffe on recently, just doing a little spotlight there. We had Tyler Jones on from Espinosa last week. We had Ryan Pontus from Forge Cigars. He's got 2 guests coming with him. We've got Bradley Rubin from Alec Bradley, as well as Justin Andrews, who is in charge of a lot of brand development and a lot of new brand development. And he was throwing some stuff. Just I want to throw that out there. He was throwing the volume that they produce for obviously themselves, but also what his specialty is working with other companies.
Yeah.
So he works with Eric Espinosa. He works with Tom Lazuka, CLE, and Asylum. He works with Rocky Patel, making millions of cigars for them.
Yeah.
He works closely with AJ Fernandez on a lot of projects, but he'll be up there with Eric Espinosa, Bradley Rubin, and Tom Lazuka on the stage. So if you guys haven't come to the 10 event, or if you are coming for the first time, or you're on the fence, that's what we were talking about last week, is that we hope that you guys think about it and join us out there. It's just a fantastic all-day event, 10:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. So check it out. Also, Altadis USA, still supporting us. We appreciate that. You can see behind us the Monte Cristo, Romeo Juliet, H. Upman, Aging Room. They will be represented as well. Dave Welch is going to be there, along with Maria. I don't know if Josh Bentley is making an appearance or not, but they will have some great deals as well. But Altadis USA supporting the podcast as always. Normally the second cigar is featured from them, but tonight we are all Crowned Heads with Jake being back in the garage. I also want to thank BS Cigar Company. The gold and silver are available. Got good news. All the golds are coming back in stock. Hopefully they're shipping tomorrow. And
Kristen will be at the sales table.
I was getting to that. Yes. Kristen.
Sorry.
Cutting it close, Mr. Crane. Cutting it close.
I've got things, in sequence. I should have just stopped what I was saying. You're right.
You're the one
Yes.
playing the event.
All right.
Every time.
Just saying.
It's really great
Yeah.
to have you guys back in the garage. It was nice.
Glad to be
I
here.
hope they arrive.
It's been very quiet.
It was a good 3.5 month break.
Wait, what arrives?
The cigars.
Oh, I thought we were still talking about Kristen.
It's not always about her, Steve.
I'm getting mixed messages from you
Not always about her.
all.
She's here though.
She's here.
Yeah, and
in
she
the
will be
house.
there.
She'll be there. All right.
Don't think she's watching.
Jake, why don't you take over? Zooms in. I'm just Jake and Spencer. Like, what the fuck?
Like old times.
All right.
Yes. Yes.
Like old times.
Perfect.
Perfect. We'll just fade to black on the corners here. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for all the support, all those companies. And like I said, please review, share, like all that good stuff. We are smoking something special from Crowned Heads tonight.
Yes, sir. I think so.
This is the umpth year of this project.
Yeah, since 2012, that was the first batch that we did. 4 Kicks Mule Kick, and then so actually 4 Kicks. If you're a music head, we curated a cigar. That was our first cigar called 4 Kicks. If you're a music head, it comes from a Kings of Leon song that was called 4 Kicks, and it kind of talks about we have our guns in the South, come and take them, and along those lines. And it kind of was a I won't say an homage, but it was kind of a, so to speak, to CAO, because at that time, CAO had sold to General, and then, a group of guys, Mike Condor, John Huber, and a few other people had left along with the salesman and came along with Crowned Heads, and Crowned Heads was formulated in 2011. And our first cigar that we came out with was 4 Kicks Habano, which was an Ecuadorian Habano and Nicaraguan wrapper and Nicaraguan filler and binder coming out of Ernesto Perez Carrillo's factory in the Dominican Republic, which used to be called Tabacalera La Alianza, which is a freaking tongue twister. But now it's a Casa Carrillo, so very, very easy now. But we started 2012 with a special release with 4 Kicks Mule Kick, which was just it was a pumped up 4 Kicks blend, had some extra leaves of Lajero in the fillers. And it was something that John Huber and Ernesto had worked on that I think a lot of people enjoyed. I had the privilege of smoking one last year for my birthday that John had gifted me. And it was absolutely phenomenal. Great flavor profiles. But to speak more about the whole lines and the limited editions of the 4 Kicks Mule Kicks, we come out with different blends every year. We've missed a few years here and there. We skipped last year in 2024, so there was a 2023 blend, and each year is different. So I think that's what makes this release so special. This year is completely different from 2023. 2023 had an Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper, which I thought was cool. Ernesto's favorite leaf, I think, at least what I've been told, is that's his favorite kind of wrapper to work with. But 2023 was a little bit more medium body than I'd say in recent years and past years. And then we're dropping it. Our first release, 2025, our 4 Kicks Mule Kick for 2025 is a banger. I've smoked probably 10 or 15 cigars with 10 or 15 different people, and each one of them, the construction's been amazing so far. But the blend is a 3-year aged Connecticut broadleaf Maduro wrapper, beautiful, dark, oily. What makes this blend really cool, what I think is, and one of my favorite leaves is a Mexican San Andreas, and that is the binder in this, and then it's Nicaraguan fillers. So I think it's a pretty cool blend. I think, without seeing it, I think if you just hear the blend, it comes off as a pretty hearty cigar, but I think it's super well balanced and super well rounded. Normally I'm not a fan of broadleaf, but I think that this blend is very well balanced for us. It is coming in at a price point that's a little higher than what we're used to, or what people are used to for us, but 16.95 I think was the price.
So I think
MSRP.
if I recall, the MSRP is sitting right at 16.
Yeah, so $15.95.
$15.95 MSRP. So depending on what state you're in, Ohio obviously has the tobacco taxes along with a lot of other states. So
yeah,
it will vary, but I believe the MSRP is sitting right at about that 16 point.
Well, and I just think it's crazy because I was in Tinder Box earlier today, and I saw the last the years from 2022 and 2023, and They're very, I don't want to say plain boxes, but I don't think they're the quality that this box came in. Those who are viewing, it's a beautiful, double red lacquer box. And on the inside, it's very nice with velvet kind of inlays, if you will, or velvet dividers for each individual cigar. And it's a 10 count box. So
10 count.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty awesome. I mean, the packaging alone really amped it up, and I think it stands to the blend as well. So
go over the blend one more time. Just the basics.
Yeah. Connecticut broadleaf Maduro,
Uh,
Mexican San Andreas binder, Nicaraguan fillers.
You're absolutely right. I mean, it does have a stout, on the read. If you guys are looking this up, you're talking to someone about the blend. I mean, that's going to be a pretty just hearty, as you said, I believe. That Connecticut broadleaf, you got a thick wrapper there. And San Andreas is showing up all over the cigars now. I mean, we're talking about a leaf that, much like Connecticut broadleaf, because of, I think, what you're using mostly from that you see on blends that aren't just like from the Turrent family, you know what I mean? It's going to be a wrapper leaf typically.
Yeah.
Starting to show up as binders. You're seeing it in fillers showing up more and more. I think there's a little bit more out there, and you guys, different companies are able to utilize it a little bit better.
Well, and I think I think in years past, I think Rocky kind of took over the Mexican San Andreas as like the wrapper standpoint. But I think now, like you said, you're starting to see it as binders and fillers. Our Juarez limited edition that we call the Bulldozer just released. I don't have one here with me, but that cigar has an extra leaf of Mexican San Andreas in the filler, which is pretty cool too. So you're exactly right.
It's showing up. And then, obviously Nicaraguan filler. I mean, that could be all over the board.
Yeah. It's Esteli and Jalapa.
Okay.
So I think for me, the Jalapa smooths it out a lot. I think it kind of counteracts like the broadleaf. I think the Jalapa with the Mexican San Andreas binder kind of counteracts the dirtiness and kind of the pungent kind of flavor profiles of a broadleaf that I get out.
Yeah.
And it kind of smooths it out and kind of makes it that mocha, kind of softness a little bit. But that's just my opinion.
I was going to comment really quick on the box.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Mil Diaz style.
With the red.
The reddish.
And the gold.
Reddish brown gold.
Yep.
The last several that you guys had were all based on the country of origin.
Correct.
Of the wrapper leaf, if I'm not mistaken.
The color of the boxes. Yes.
Color of the box, yeah. Like it was like basically like a flag or that motif of the colors of the country.
Yeah, if you remember 2022. Yeah.
Like CAO in a similar
bit.
fashion, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and you're exactly right, Spencer. I think 2022, that was the Mexican San Andreas wrapper. So it was the Mexican flag with the red and the white and the green. And then the 2023 blend was Ecuador Sumatra wrapper. So we did an Ecuadorian box color flag, so to speak. So it's pretty cool. I think we've done a good job with our packaging with Mule Kicks. I think people, for us, if I may say one thing, and I'll let you kind of go into your stuff, but I think this
is my stuff.
This is the first part.
This is our stuff.
Yeah.
I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should be.
So
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying this is our stuff. What you're doing is our stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think with Mule Kicks and limited editions, we've kind of made a name for ourselves with limited editions. That's not a secret. But I think with coming out with something like this that wasn't in last year and that we didn't release last year and starting it in January, taking pre-orders, doing, our Juarez limited edition, only 1,500 boxes on that, and they're 12 count boxes. So it's a limited.
That's the Bulldozer.
That's the Bulldozer, under $10, for a limited edition. I think that this stuff, I think people can, get over stimulated with the releases, but at the end of the day, starting this year with 2025, coming off an election year, coming off of a slow economy, I think this is really exciting and shows a lot of promise for 2025 for us, so to speak, because I sold out of my allotment with Mule Kick. I sold out of my allotment with Juarez. And I'm very, very proud of that. And I think it just shows where the economy is going. And I think it shows that, people are excited to have 2025 be a good year.
Why do you think that has anything to do with the economy?
I think if the economy, I mean, I'm not a,
No,
I'm not a-
Are
First
they
of all-
higher
first of all,
priced cigars? Is
What
that
election are we referring to?
do you
Was
want
it
me
a
to get into
local one?
that?
Let's not start a whole.
Can I-
We talking
Can I-
city
Do you want me to
level?
get into that?
Are you
No.
just saying because they're higher priced, more selective
Well,
cigars, that people are
no.
spending a little bit more money?
No, I think with cigars, I think if the economy is a little low or dipping, I think people spend less money on luxury goods.
That makes sense.
So
That being said,
got it.
what Jake's selling to is the end consumer. But if the retail shops that are in his territory,
can't buy it.
if they're either can't buy it because their sales are down, or on the flip side of that, they're nervous about a $16 cigar limited
Correct.
edition. They're like, I've already got stuff that I need to sell.
Yep.
From the retailer standpoint, it is tough sometimes to what I think your point was, is that this company for a while, especially we talked about on the show before, is that it was like, what's coming out? Another limited edition,
Correct.
another LE, another
Correct.
LE. And it's like, all right, what is, when you guys, I think, started working with Pichardo at that point with the Juarez, the original Juarez,
Mhm.
all of a sudden, and
Mil Diaz.
well, and that followed, right? Mil Diaz followed, and all of a sudden there were some new regular releases that were really starting to get some traction.
Well, I think our
I
problem.
think what I was
Go
going to say
ahead,
is
sorry.
that it seems, at least from a retailer standpoint, that the crowned heads, for whatever reason, has now kind of balanced out with some new release action as far as some regular production stuff.
Yes.
The establishment, I think,
100%.
with Ernesto Perez Carrillo has, I think that's developed.
Oh yeah.
From not working for you guys, but from the retailer and consumer side, is I think that's developed. So you've got some of that, and thankfully some financial, I think some ground there too that's getting some traction there.
Oh yeah.
But you're also not going away from the LE or limited edition stuff.
No.
Either. You're keeping those traditions alive. We didn't do it on the show because we were on hiatus, but the Las Calaveras and the 10-year anniversary of that came out at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's cool to hear that you've done a lot on that.
Well, I think we, last
Go back to your
year,
question, 'cause I think it's a good question.
we went to Nashville as a group. We spent an entire week in Nashville as a team. And that's no small financial feat, for any company, I think. So we went there and we spent 3 8-hour days brainstorming about how crowned heads and Oz family cigars can be better. And I think that meant a lot, one, for us to speak with our bosses and our hierarchy, but I think it got a lot of attention when our owners got to see like how we react to certain sales tactics that we go towards, and certain things that we learn from them, and the way that we want to do things. And there's always that gap in business, but I think for us, that time together was very, very well spent. And
Is that over cigars?
it was over cigars.
Yeah,
Yes.
that makes 8 hours go a little bit.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
One or
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
Thank you to Casa
Yeah.
de Monte
PowerPoint
Cristo
presentation.
and Nashville.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Danny's old stomping ground.
Yeah, Danny's old stomping grounds, and Danny Hennessy is amazing. He's our true Midwest rep. He's
I've been to that store.
yeah. Oh, dude, the
When
Casa
when we vacationed in Nashville a couple years ago, that was the cigar
Cement
shop.
floor, right? Mainly.
mainly, yes.
Yeah, I know. And
But their humidor is gorgeous.
It is, yeah, I've been there as
if
well.
you go there, there's an entire wall of Crowned Head cigars. They support us heavily. And yeah, they let us use their back conference area for
Nice.
3 days. So but what I was really trying to get to is like when you learn about your owners, and when they learn about you guys, you can discuss a different way of doing business and some different styles and tactics on how to sell our cigars, and understanding that, I know we just got done talking about Juarez and the limited edition that we just came out with, but when you go back to what you were mentioning, Steve, about when Juarez came out originally and Mil Diaz in 2019 and 2020, you saw a lot of limited editions coming from us that was just a fucking different size. And the reason
You did. Yeah.
and the reason why I bring that up is because that's exactly what we discussed at those meetings, is that all those sizes for the cigar geeks are really, really cool, because you get to try the blend, you get to try something different, and understand that these sizes really do matter to these blends and how they change in taste profile. But to the retailer, the people that are actually selling our cigars, to the consumer, they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
About
It's just
that.
another size to
It's
either
just
carry or sit there.
Correct. So I think when you talk about all this stuff, it's awesome to see a mule kick that our Four Kicks Mule kit come out right off the rip of 2025, where it's just a completely different blend, different cigar. It's a limited edition. We know that. It's been an annual release, semi-annual release. And that started 2025 off, with a bang. So, and then we got PCA coming up in April.
Did you want to follow up on the economy question?
No, that actually made sense to me. I was just trying to figure out how, because it's a luxury good, so that made sense to me.
Yeah.
But I think I'm assuming you guys come out with a limited edition every year, or do you come out with multiple?
We come out with multiple.
Okay. So, I'm sure there's
We've come out with 2 already, and it's March.
So, yeah. So then it takes a little bit of the shine off of limited edition, right?
I know.
But I think it's cool because, we got to Steve's house a little bit earlier tonight and had the New Year from Barrel, right?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Hey, something we look forward to every year.
Yeah.
So this would be something I'd look forward to every year.
Yep.
But if you come out with 10 limited editions,
it doesn't mean much.
Right.
It's a balancing act.
Right. So I'm sure you guys are trying to figure it out, but this is a fantastic cigar. If I saw it, it's a limited edition. It's a beautiful cigar to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, that's one that I
the
want.
Branding on it's very nice too.
Yeah. It's
Nate.
Well, coming out with 2 in the first 3 months of the year, this time of the season, it's not necessarily the busiest for cigar smokers because it's right after the Christmas holiday and stuff. So if you come out with something a limited edition, it gets some of those early sales numbers to help your company and help your sales rep kind of get through the winter time.
Yep. And that's the brass tacks and the hard truth about it.
Yeah.
So you're exactly right.
Yeah. But then, to Spencer's original question, I think last year as a whole, cigar imports in the U.S. were up, 4 or 5%?
Yeah. Yeah. If you look at the hard numbers, yes. I'll leave it at that.
Numbers.
I'll leave it at that.
Well, as a sales rep, you kind of just you always be launching, right? You need a reason to go into a shop.
Yes.
So this gives you a reason to here's what's new, here's the latest and greatest. And by the way, here's our staples as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it's always, I think what helps too is a little bit of a sales tactic when we are coming out with the limited editions. It allows you to reach all your retailers and your accounts at once as well. So, you may have not talked to somebody for a couple months if you do have like a very large territory like I do. And it allows you to check up on them because they're asking about the release. And, you're like, well, do you actually need an order on something else, or It's
a great time to add it instead of having just a small order with limited edition.
Correct. Yeah. Like while we're at it,
let's just get it all together.
Yeah. While we're at it, and do you want it shipped when this stuff comes in? Yes, sir. Okay, perfect. And I think that's not just a sales tactic. I think that's like taking care of your accounts and you're adding the service.
Well, because I'm on the retail side of that.
Right.
If I have a rep, I have 3, so it's not like it's that big of an issue. But if I had a rep that didn't reach out to me when something limited edition came out, and then all of a sudden I see it came out and I asked, like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Well, you never reached out to me.
Yep.
Like I've bought that in the past, especially if there's a history of you buying that.
Yeah.
Like, all right. Like when it comes out, I'm interested.
Yeah.
I want to bring that on. But if you don't reach out to that, it's like, all right.
Yep. Exactly.
I'll talk. Then from my side as a buyer, I'm like, all right, I'll talk to you when I need something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
I'll find something else to fill that spot.
Totally understand it. Yeah.
What do we think of the cigar? Let's get into that here. Spencer, do you want to start?
Yeah, just like with food or anything else, kind of eat with your eyes first, right? So just looking at this, I was excited this was going to be the first one. I'm sorry, one more time. What was the outside?
It's a Connecticut broadleaf binder, or I'm sorry, wrapper.
So is this a little darker?
3-year age?
Okay,
3-year age.
So I think to have that is pretty inviting. It's beautifully constructed.
Yes.
Mild.
It's a
little bit heavier than mild.
Yeah, it's got a little ass on it.
Okay, so maybe when I get through it a little bit,
but it's smooth. The flavor profile is smooth.
Okay,
so I'd say strength. I'd say medium body. Medium plus. But I'd say it's full strength.
Okay. But I think it's a fantastic cigar. Again, aesthetically, it's beautiful. It's very smooth. Maybe that's why I think it's on a little bit more of the mild side.
It's very balanced.
There you go.
My bad.
$15, $16, $17 for this cigar. I think it's a great thing. And again, I'd be curious how this compares to some of the other limited editions. If you guys have gone this route with ones in the past, but sounds like you all try to do something completely different every year.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very happy with it. And this would be something that if I did see in the store, that would be something that my eyes would be drawn to because of the way that it looks.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys have always used that classic, I don't want to say Cuban-esque, but
I was
that
gonna say the
secondary
same
band.
thing. Yeah. It looks
very classic
yeah.
Habanos SA type
For
of
sure.
limited edition type, or with the year you've got it. And it does flow nice with the 4 Kicks label.
Yeah, with the gold.
Yeah. And the
For
red,
sure.
is that the original or is that?
That's the original.
Yeah. So
that band comes on the original Habano 4 Kicks.
and it is beautiful gold leaf on there. So, I mean, you've got a nice complement as far as the primary and secondary bands. To Spencer's point, as far as the aesthetics, I think it actually hypes up it matches the first buy, at least, of this cigar to try it. You know, the presentation is there.
Need for the top velvet with the tape? Does that help?
The foot ribbon?
Yes.
I think for us it helps signifies like which one it is. We've done the foot ribbon or the foot band that says just crowned heads, it's gold. But I think we're going towards like the color ribbons, like limited edition that Tim does on his cigar called Pi Synesthesia. He does a different color every year. So he's had yellow, red, brown.
So it does. It's part of the aesthetics, right? And for what Jake's saying there, it's functional as well.
Outside of
is
the
it
box,
functional?
which like to Tinder Box's standpoint, outside of the box when it's in bins or trays, it helps kind of identify that cigar.
It does. What I'm saying, it's functional in the sense that, I mean, mine was on a little tight. If it's put on there properly, you know what I mean, and it's secure, but not overly secure, it's not loose. Instead of putting it necessarily in cellophane, but even in cellophane, you can do it. It protects the foot of the cigar.
Yep. Got it.
So a lot of the times, you'll see damaged cigars upon shipping, right? So when it arrives at the store, or if you order something and it's shipped to you, whatever, in transport, there is some shuffling in boxes, especially 10 count boxes. A lot of times, limited edition ones, there's reasons for that, whether or not they use another kind of pre-made box. They're using that cutout or the diagram for that. But yeah, I mean, it does shuffle a little bit, so it minimizes, and that's one of the reasons that cellophane has been put on cigars as well.
Yeah,
is not only because people think it's like, oh, so people don't touch the cigar. It protects the cigar pretty well.
Yeah.
And you'll see the foot ribbons. That's a very basic way of protecting the foot from kind of banging into the other ones, and then you have a crack in it. Nate, what do you think?
Listening to Spencer describe the visual of the cigar, looking at Jake's, looking at the other one Jake has, I almost feel like I have a different cigar because mine looks.
I think it's the same.
Mine looks a little rustic.
Okay.
It has like some bumps, some wides, some little curve to it.
Okay.
That's natural. So I mean, if you talk to most doctors, I mean, that's pretty much natural that everyone's is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll have a
Put
little.
a little Robitussin on that, you should be just fine.
They're not all perfect.
But no, like I'm looking at this one, like it just looks like a smoother cigar. This one looks a little bit rustic.
Yeah.
It looks
The
almost,
broadleaf is broadleafing.
yeah, something like that. I think that San Andreas binder for me is what really comes through in this cigar because even the smoke itself kind of comes across as a rustic type of smoke.
Yeah.
Like there's some texture to the smoke itself as I'm smoking this.
Earthy or rustic?
I'm going to go rustic. It's not.
Yeah, because I don't get much dirt or earth.
No, it's not like a Cameroon. It's not like a Cameroon.
Okay.
But it's one of those where if you smoked enough San Andreas tobacco, like that flavor kind of sticks out. It doesn't. I don't get as much from the Connecticut broadleaf Maduro. Like there's not that sweetness and like heavy cocoa that I sometimes get from Connecticut broadleaf. I'm getting more of that San Andreas coming through, and then just a little bit of pepper.
Yeah.
So what I'm picturing, if you guys have ever, I know Jake, you've definitely done like the fire at night, and camped out and all that stuff, and the next morning you kind of walk out and you maybe even cook some food on that, and like everything's kind of chilled out.
Yeah.
And you're out there and you walk out in the morning and you can kind of like taste the air.
Yeah.
with that kind of like campfire.
Go on, I'm listening.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
This is it. This is it. Like
I love this.
that's what I'm getting.
What's he wearing?
Yeah, wow.
That's actually what I'm getting. It's
Hell
that,
yeah.
that's what it's very like kind of
Grass
reminiscent
in
of
between
me.
your toes. I hear you.
Campfirey.
Campfire, but it's kind of like it was still smoldering all night. You know what I mean?
The
You had
taste
different types of wood.
profile?
The taste, like it, like just because I don't know why, but I know those mornings, and I don't camp often, but when I do, it's like you kind of wake up early in the morning, and you can kind of taste that morning air, and that the campfire is still in the air.
Yeah, I like that.
So it's not like Latakia or anything like that, you
No.
know, and like English pipe tobacco or like a KFC from Drew
It's like a pleasant smell.
This is just kind of like a nice flavor. Little bit. It's odd that we'll get to the bottle that's called toasted. This has more of like a toasted flavor than what I'm sipping on.
Yeah.
Honestly. So that's kind of why I was going to say toasted. But the more I thought about while you guys were describing what you were getting is that's kind of, I'm trying to like place, what is that flavor? That's kind of what
A
it
true
is.
toasted, like toasted oak,
Yes.
like true toasted oak.
Which is where that campfire, depending on what wood you threw in there. And
Yeah,
all
yeah.
That's kind of what I'm getting from it.
Yeah. It's very, I mean, and I think for me, like that's what I meant at the beginning when I said like kind of like a pungentness from like the broadleaf. Like I get that, like I know you said you didn't get it, but I get a lot of that like kind of dirtiness a little bit.
It's like
and that
kind
very
of like a little bit damp wood.
yeah,
Where you're burning that.
a little bit. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like it's pleasant
Yeah.
to the smell and the
Yeah.
senses. But it's exactly what that is for me.
I could have this cigar anywhere.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's very easy on the palate. Depth of flavor, but it's not overpowering. It's definitely.
Is this your first cigar
This is my first cigar
for today?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you sent me the text sheet on this, like it visualizing, I was expecting something like heavier
I know.
than what this.
I
That's
know.
where I'm going. That's why
Like,
I said mild. I think
I was
is fine.
expecting
Yeah.
something just big, bold,
Bold, spicy.
just bust your palate.
Yeah, but it's not.
It's not like you
It's
can
really
still
not.
like you could still follow up with another cigar without going full body.
Yeah.
I'm going to. Yeah. Yeah.
What?
I mean, we're all gonna.
Yeah. Well, no, and I mean,
thank you for bringing it. Appreciate
yeah, of
it.
course. No, I wanted to share with you guys and this inaugural new garage episode. I don't know how
Yeah.
we managed to do this every time,
I
but
don't know
I
either.
love it and happy to be here.
Keep it on Facebook Marketplace. There's a couple washer and dryer. I need to get out of here before we smoke too often in here. And then someone buys it and they're like, everything I wash
Smells like smoke.
smells like smoke.
That might be on you. I
They
don't
start
know.
to turn
Yeah,
over
dude.
around.
I don't know.
Your clothes.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we should talk. Never mind. All right.
Hell yeah.
Penelope. This is a hot, in my opinion, this is a hot brand label. No, I mean, yeah, I'll look at it. I don't know. I need to.
Well, no, I figured Nate maybe want to talk about it.
I'm going to read the label and then you go ahead, Nate, with a little bit more. This is Penelope Toasted series. Penelope Toasted series explores the depth and complexity different char and toast levels have on our flavor profile. After full maturation, we finish straight bourbon whiskey in new charred American oak barrels. That's all it says really on here. You're coming in. Did you guys look at the bottle? You want to guess,
I didn't
did
really.
not. I did not.
guess the proof? What do you think?
109.
I'm going 40.
A little light on you.
Light on me.
40 proof or
40 proof.
20%, huh?
Yeah.
Mostly water and wood. This is aged 4 years. You're coming in at 100 proof.
Really?
Yeah. 5 char, heavy toast is what it says, oddly enough. That's really all I got on this bottle here. Nate, what do you got?
So, do you want to take a guess at who makes it?
MGP.
It is MGP. It does say distilled in Lawrenceburg.
Yes, it does.
Well, in 2018, MGP actually bought Penelope.
That's what I thought. 2018?
2018.
I thought it was.
I thought
much-
recently
Yeah, me too.
they just sold.
They may have sold it. They may have sold this off. But in 2018, they
No
acquired them
shit.
for like $215 million.
Yeah,
Okay.
from their own brand. Ain't that hilarious though? Like,
I'm
Like,
going to have
they-
to look
yeah,
this up.
Someone else owned the label. They were distilling it, sourcing, and then they bought the rights to it.
they bought their whiskey back.
That's right. That's right.
And people are starting to wonder why the whiskey world, the bourbon world is
Yeah.
starting to go through some changes.
I loved Ann's article.
I did too. I
last
thought it was
week.
interesting. And then unfortunately, we've had Aaron Harris on, and I saw an article today, not to get into that too far. We got to have an episode about that. Green River is laying off a chunk.
Really?
Green River's doing a lot of advertising, by the way.
Green River's doing a lot of
Yeah,
advertising, but it was
They're not very old.
no. They are old, but they're revamped. But they were making a lot for other.
There was
smaller
contracting one.
Got it.
So
I didn't know that.
yeah, so that's a
Man,
main
that's sad.
function, I think, of that.
It's like
until
75
they-
to 80% of their
So it
business
makes
is
sense. And again,
Wow,
we'll
did not know
have to
that.
do an episode here shortly because
Yeah.
that's all the buzz right now. But yeah, Green River, it was about 30%, just under 30% of their workforce. I think they're going to like one shift because there is a lot going on in the bourbon world. On
I mean, they're legit. I mean, I listen to Colin Cowherd's podcast.
And they got bought
they're
out.
on him
Yeah.
every day.
Green River,
Well, it was a few years ago that they got acquired by Bardstown.
Mhm.
Green River did?
Yeah.
Oh,
Over in
wow.
what? Owensboro is that where they're at?
Yeah, they're in
Yeah.
Owensboro.
It's way out there.
All right, so
Only one out.
Penelope, let's talk about this one here. Spencer, you don't think there's a whole lot to it?
It's
You
light.
said
It's light as
light.
hell.
It's 40 proof.
Yeah.
Did you take
No,
a
it's
sip
not.
of it before smoking the cigar? Or did you light up the cigar first?
Yes.
And you did also have. How many is that for you?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you drinking that or what you?
It's his night out. Leave him alone.
Yeah. Yeah. We're all here.
Shout out
He
to
got
Jen.
dropped off. He's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Shout out
I-
to-
I'll Uber home. We're good.
Shout out to
Your first
Mrs.
pour of the-
Lappin.
Your
Yeah.
first pour of the night was 113.
Well, you know, we don't need to talk about first.
But that one
pours
was
and
really
stuff
fucking
like
good.
that.
barrel?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Barrel.
When
Bourbon,
I
by the way.
think
Hell yeah.
so, when you think toasted, you think marshmallow, you think heavy char, things like that. I personally don't get that much marshmallow or heavy char or campfire or any of the things that are with toasted. For me, it's a little light. It's a very, very easy sipper, extremely easy sipper
For 100 proof.
for 100 proof. Yeah, I was surprised it was 100 proof. I know that you guys don't like to have stuff that's a lot less than that, so that makes sense. But it's what, a $60-$70 bottle?
this was $54.99, I think,
Okay, and it's a
in the
beautiful.
state of Ohio.
It's a beautiful bottle. I haven't had very much of Penelope's stuff at all, so I don't know what to compare it to.
Penelope has 4 standard products in Ohio. They've got a 4-grain, which is 80 proof. They have a 4-grain barrel strength, which usually comes in around 114, 115. They've got the Architect, which is finished with French oak. So think something similar to Maker's 46 without the wheat.
Are they all in similar style bottles?
Yeah.
They all look like this. Yep.
Okay,
And
I
then you
love
got-
the bottle. I love the bottle.
Now they did recently in Ohio
Classic wine bottle. There.
come out with Weeded, the Penelope Weeded, which is 95 proof and it's a $40 bottle. It's
Mhm.
a 4-grain weeded bourbon,
Stuff's actually pretty
and that's actually a really good buy for 40 bucks.
Have any of you had this one before?
good. No,
I
I
have
haven't.
not.
I
Okay.
haven't.
No.
I've
There's
had some of their-
there's some other toasted barrel bourbons that we have on our shelves at Carfagna's. This actually sits right next to another one.
Basil?
Elijah Craig toasted.
Okay, so that's what I'm thinking
they're
of.
both
Yeah.
all good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see
Okay.
that.
That one's
Which has a
really-
little bit more full body, a little bit more
And so that's the
yeah.
thing, like,
oomph to it.
typically when I smoke something that is been finished in a toasted barrel, I typically get
You drink it or you smoke it?
when I drink something.
I'm sorry. I had
that
to.
helped me out. Yeah,
when
I
I,
had
when
to.
I drink something in a toasted barrel, like typically I get more like vanilla and kind of almond, some nuttiness to it. That's typically what I get. Like I love you kind of get some of those depending on different double oaks.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
Like Old Forester 1910 is their double oak,
Yeah.
or Woodford double oak.
So good.
You get some of those more chocolate or fruity flavors in some of those.
yeah.
Doesn't necessarily come across in this one, and I think part of that's because the mash bill, it's 75% corn.
So
I
it's
see
super
that,
light.
So
Super light.
75% like that much corn, it comes. It's sweet, but
Soft.
it's not caramel sweet. It's not
Rich.
butterscotch.
Delicate.
It's like even on, and it's 21% rye too, so it's technically a high rye
Interesting.
mash bill.
Sky. You guys keep saying it's light and smooth, and I agree with you, but there's a little bit, and maybe it's the cigar.
Yeah,
That
it's a
could, it
cigar.
could be.
I got a little bit of a bite on the finish. It's a little bit. It's like a tart bite.
To me, it's dusty. It's like very like,
Really?
remember like how like when you say it a lot, like that corn, like dust.
Yeah.
I get that in this, like kind of like a malt.
Yeah, but it's not like corn water like some of those.
No.
No.
No, but it is
It's not
still
as much malt as like a U.S. single malt.
No, not like that. I mean, like if you have like a malted
That great-
milkshake, like that dustiness, like
I can see it.
I love malted milkshake.
Milk
me
Dud,
too, dude.
Milk Dud.
Big
Yeah,
Whoppers
milk dud.
guy.
I love a
big Whoppers guy.
double
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
double
milk does.
a double
Big
or triple
Whoppers guy.
dipped
It's been a
malt
while since I've had
ball
Yeah.
is on there as one of the true delicacies in life.
I don't know when I switched to Whoppers at the movie theater as the candy of choice, but I haven't done it in years. When I was like a teenager, like
Yeah.
it was like
Was it when you hit
You get the
30?
I said a teenager.
Then you went to Whoppers.
Yeah, I went like I think
Yeah.
I got him like when I was younger. Like it was one of those candies you get in your trick or treat bag, and you're like, I don't really like this, but then it's an acquired taste.
I like Whoppers,
Yeah,
but it sucks when you get the 2-pack instead of the 4-pack.
disappointing.
You know, like the little like
I'm aware.
remember
I
they
haven't
were
been trick or
2
treating
and then
in
you had
long
a
time, but yeah.
4. Oh yeah, just
Guess two things different out in Zanesville.
I've only been there for like 2 years. You act like I like fucking live out in like Terlingua or something.
Do you want to hear how Penelope describes it?
Would love to.
So aroma, you guys can sniff
Oh,
and
yeah.
taste along with it.
I was just gonna
It's
be
like-
good.
Can you please
here.
pass the bourbon?
Aroma,
It's black in here. Sorry, guys.
brown sugar and cinnamon breakfast pastry.
I get that.
I
Okay.
stick my nose in.
Well, so sometimes what helps, like put your hand over top of the glass,
Yeah, the vapors. I get that.
and then come up,
I like rolling it around like that, like the
kind of
glass.
coating the side of the glass.
Yeah.
I'm good for the moment. Thank you.
Whoa.
Forward notes: smooth caramel syrup, brown sugar, subtle barrel char, hints of butterscotch and creme brulee.
I
Hang on a
get that
second.
in the smell. I get that in the smell.
I get
Hang on
the
a second.
creme brulee.
The description of subtle barrel char when they're all about the. Is that what we said?
Hints of butterscotch and creme brulee. Barrel char was before it said hints.
Okay.
So forward, it should be caramel syrup, brown sugar, and subtle barrel char.
Subtle barrel.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, where I'm like, this is like, oh, this is 5
So it's a
toasted, 5 char.
It's
Like
a-
that's on the.
it's a
What are you
yeah,
trying
level,
to-
it's a level
Yeah.
5 char.
Just trying to make it better.
I'm laughing at Spencer because he said it's light and then he puts more water in it.
But sometimes,
Still wants to just cannonball coming.
cannonball.
Oh my god.
Something's going to happen to this bourbon if you add a little water to it. I've tried to do that on every one of these podcasts. I learned that from Nate. When you add a little bit of water to it, sometimes it expands it
You're right.
a little bit.
Yeah.
We've had times
This
where
watered it down. You're right.
Yeah.
But
we have had times
Now it
where
really is 40 proof.
we have like drank something high proof, like in that 110, 125 range, and then added a couple drops of water, and it kind of ruined it.
Yeah, it does because it's all oaky at that point. Like you
It-
lose all the depth and all the
It
flavor.
can. So we've had times where we've added water and it got spicier.
Right, exactly.
It's
Because it loses all the depth
Yeah.
of the flavors, and then all you're left.
I
is
will
with the
tell you,
barrel.
after smelling it and enjoying it a little bit more and doing that trick that you did, I've never done that before, where you kind of put your hand over it just to get some of the vapors. It did give me a little bit more appreciation for it.
body is vanilla and graham cracker with hints of dried cherry fruit.
I think that's the kind of what I say tart, but it was a sharpness, right?
Yeah.
That would be that cherry.
And then finish, and this kind of goes to what Spencer was talking about. Savory roasted marshmallow and slight spice.
barely.
I think they're reaching a little bit there.
Yeah, there. That's barely there.
What's the difference between heavy char and
slight char?
So-
slight char?
All right. So
Because this says heavy char, right?
heavy
The,
toast.
the bottle does,
So-
but the notes are slight,
Shuttle.
So-
subtle.
Shuttle.
So the barrel profile is a level 5 char. So that would be that alligator char. So the most amount of time under that direct flame, to where that, like when you burn a log and you start to see those little alligator scales, the square.
I'm with
straight
you.
up.
I'm with you.
So they're doing a heavy char, so that char really penetrates into the oak staves, which means if you age it properly, you'll pull out more of that flavor from it. And then heavy toast. So you can do a light toast, you can do a heavy toast.
So the second barrel is heavy
The
toasted.
second barrel is heavy toasted. So
So it's probably a level 2.
so toasting they do at a lower temperature for
Yeah.
a higher length of time, and that kind of caramelizes the vanillin in the oak, and that is the compound that gives
I haven't heard that word before.
Oak.
No, vanilla.
vanillin. So there's actually a scotch.
He emphasized the K a little bit.
I heard.
but
I
it's oak.
heard. It's 2Ks.
So there's actually a Scotch by Glenmorangie that they call the Tale of Ice Cream because it was
I
finished.
want to try that.
It was finished in an oak barrel that has a higher than average vanillin content, so they get more of that vanilla flavor.
Wow.
On that spirit.
Wow.
So
I've not heard vanilla and either.
Thank you.
I think the problem with this is the age. I think that's
How old
what's
is it?
killing it for me.
4
Yes. Yes.
Young.
If this was 8, I think we would all be saying a very different tune.
Tough to say, but you're probably right. I think it would be a little more of that oakiness. It would bring it down a little bit, as far as I'm still getting that sharp tartness.
I
And
think it's
it
from
would
the
go away.
cigar. I really do.
It could be.
Yeah.
We could be giving this a not so fair shake.
Because the cigar is so flavorful.
It's got a lot going on.
Got a little bite
and so I mean that's a way we can do this. Roll right into like the rating here is the whiskey, the cigar, and the pairing.
Yeah.
For those not familiar with the show, or if you haven't listened in a while here, Becky even says Vanilla M is new.
Vanillin.
Vanillin. Like Ohioan.
And to Bobby Hirschman, appreciate that. He says that the picture is sharp. StreamYard, which we use, they have upgraded to 1080p. So we are streaming. Hopefully you guys have a clear picture and clear sound. Hopefully our signal here in Westerville, Ohio is strong enough to do this 1080p, by the way. Side note. Appreciate all the Patreon support.
Hell yeah.
You're welcome.
Spencer. And all you guys out there.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so we do 10 is the best, right? So we do 3 different ratings. The whiskey, which is the Penelope, the Toasted series. The cigar, we've got the Mule Kick, the 4 Kicks Mule Kick from Crowned Heads, and then the pairing together. So we will start with Jake.
Oh, great. Because I was looking at my phone.
Go. Get off your phone.
All right, what'd you say?
See,
You're just like a fucking teacher.
That's
man.
right.
You in the back.
It's on the screen. Here, I'll
You in the back. It's been a minute.
Can you see that?
That's you in the middle.
Yeah. Thank you.
This is
I
me.
couldn't tell. The only one that's not in black.
Wait, what?
Racist.
Oh,
In black.
we do the whiskey, the cigar, and the pairing. 3 different ratings. 10 is
Yeah.
the best. And
All
you
right.
give your opinion
All
for
right.
whatever reason. It's your opinion.
I'm giving whatever it is. But so Penelope Toasted barrel finish, Toasted series. I'm gonna give it a solid 5.
Shit.
This is
We're back in the garage.
yeah, this is not doing
I haven't seen a 5 since 87.
this for me is not
88
doing
Olympics.
it at all. The age, the 4 years, I think the
Thank
4
our
years.
sponsor, Penelope.
Yeah, it's not doing it. I think I'm that sharpness that Steve's talking
Yeah.
about, the graininess, that dustiness is not kind of my flavor profile. If this was from a smaller distillery, say in PA or Indiana, that has like just started in something and I paid $50 for it, I'd be very excited for him. But like for this, it's like you're established, you literally bought the barrels, you sold to the fucking parent company, and you're still coming out with this. Like, do better.
I knew you were going to say do better.
Like, and then
There's a reason they just fired their CEO and hired a new one.
yeah, I mean, and my thing is too
Shots
is like Penelope has
Dirty
so much
laundry.
better stuff.
Yes.
So for like this to be, you said 55.
$55.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just not going to look for this and pick it up on the shelf. I think that personally, the toasted portion of this and the finishing process was probably a little less too. So not only, I don't know, do you know how old that is at all?
So usually anytime a bourbon does a finish, it's usually somewhere in that 4 to 6 months.
Yeah, but I mean, me personally, I know I'm a stickler when it comes to this stuff, but I think like 6 and more is
I think
really
it depends
good.
on what they're finishing in.
Well, like Elijah Craig, like Toasted is much more depth and it's 6 proof points lower than this.
Yeah.
So
why is that such a richer whiskey?
yeah, and it's less money.
Because
It's about the same price. But
Is Toast 55 now?
I'll look it up.
I thought Toast was like
no, but
40,
I mean, that's
45.
a good point of the fact that it's not always the proof that's going to give it the depth, right? I mean, there's plenty of stuff.
So you have a much stronger flavor profile with Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel, and that's where I would lean to if I was going to spend my money, say over this. But,
Sure.
But I
Toasted the same. Elijah Craig Toasted the same price. $54.99.
Wow, it went up.
And it's 94 proof.
Okay. So still now you have a exact representation of a bottle that is the same price that tastes better.
And at our store, they're side by side.
Yes. Yeah. So 5 on the
Toasted
whiskey.
Yeah, I was going to real quick. Toasted is starting to be that kind of hot thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's, what does
For
that,
sure.
what does that mean? Right. You know what I mean?
It's
So
a
I think it's a buzzword. The cigar here, Jake.
Like I said at the beginning, like normally I'm not like a Connecticut broadleaf guy, but for me, this is an 8. Not because of the construction or not because of the brand, obviously. It's just I think for most, I'm trying to take an honest opinion of like the consumers and what I think that they would say. And I think that our price point on this and it being a limited edition is still cool. But I think the price point brings that down a little bit. Construction's phenomenal. Flavor profile is phenomenal, but I think an 8 is a solid score for our cigar.
Real quick, we had a question here before you give your pairing. Becca says, will girls who are new to bourbon like this bottle?
Yes.
I think so.
Okay.
I was getting ready to type out an answer.
I think so.
I'll
for
have the
sure.
same approach as in the cigar shop.
Yeah.
She says with will girls, that's the answer or the question.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the answer is girls, guys, whatever. Yeah.
Would be an
think
easy
for-
introduction.
for a new bourbon drinker.
Yeah.
This is light enough that they might like it.
I
Some
think so.
diet-
Especially with an
What's a Diet Coke or something like that?
sure, but I meant like maybe an ice cube.
But like
All
I know as we talked about, it doesn't drink like it's 100 proof.
It doesn't
At all.
At
At
all.
all.
It drinks a little
We'll
bit.
stick with Jake here, the pairing here out of 10.
Out of 10, I think the pairing, I'll drop it down to that 5 again. I mean, it just does not.
2 Russian judges.
You are miserable
2
here.
Russian judges.
No, I'm not miserable.
Thanks
It's just
for
like
going through
doesn't
this with
work.
us tonight. I mean,
You're
I know.
welcome. Thanks for having me. I'm just being honest.
Any
it just
issues
doesn't
you want
work.
to talk about too, or is this
No, I just think that
emotional base?
I'm just
judging?
like being honest. It's like not fucking like hunky dory over here. Every pairing's great.
Just throws it against the wall. Like I fucking hate this bottle.
I always love the people that like. I remember like when I first started working at Tinder Box, somebody said to me like, well, basically, or I heard somebody like one of the other, guys that worked at the Tinder Box at the time was like, well, basically every bourbon works with a cigar. And I was like, me, like a young guy that was like talking about plum and fucking clementine and shit like that.
Dark
like
stone
super,
fruit.
yeah, like super like nerdy about this stuff. And I've toned it down obviously in years past, but like, I don't know, like, no, not every bourbon goes with a cigar. And not every cigar goes with a bourbon. It just doesn't work. So there's and what I mean by that is it's not like this is terrible. It's just there's so many more better options that you could have and enjoy, your time by yourself or
Sure.
with
Pass the
others.
bottle.
Yes.
Speaking of this terrible bourbon, Nate, you want something? You want to talk about it?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I'm going to give the whiskey 6. I just like Jake. I'm actually disappointed in this one a little bit.
Pass it down here. So that.
Yep.
You are terrible. Why would you ever rate something?
No.
Well, he's the rest judge. So.
I had
We might as well finish the bottle. If we hate it as much as we hate
No
it.
one else wants to drink this.
I'll do it.
no. I had.
I love how the ratings are where they're at right now. Like the
And we keep
bottle
drinking
is
it?
more than that.
It is easy drinking.
It's easy drinking.
Yeah, no one buy this. It's so terrible.
And
Do you
it's-
need more?
And it's free.
I'll try a splash.
And it's free. Thank you, Nate.
No, Steve bought it.
Oh, fuck.
Not
Thank you.
Free. Nothing's ever free.
I love you.
Oh wow,
Well, you said nothing's free.
that's
Love is free.
a lot of
So-
emotion.
Love is free.
Never.
So I've had some other Penelope products. I've had their 4 grain, which is their white label.
Okay.
That one at 80 proof, I get a ton of butterscotch.
Yeah.
On that one.
Yeah, I agree.
The 4 grain red label usually comes in around 115 proof. That one takes everything that's great about the white label 4 grain and just amps it up. Architect was one that we've had before on the podcast, and I did not like that one because French oak is typically too sharp and bitey for me.
Sure.
I didn't care for that. This one, it's essentially a double barrel or double oak.
Yeah.
It's in a toasted barrel. So you think stuff like Woodford double oak or Woodford double oak is $1 more than this.
Woodford Double Oak is a toasted
It's a double barrel.
It's a double barrel.
So it's double barrel. Like you can think of it as a finishing aspect, but you're just using two
not
barrels.
marketed the same.
It's not marketed the same way.
Thank you.
And then,
But they do use a toasted barrel for it, right?
Stick
Or-
with this one though, Nate.
They do
Stick
use
with
a
this
no,
toasted
what I'm
one.
saying, like comparing, like,
Sure.
and then Old Fortune 9 to 10 is $2 more. Like,
Yeah.
those are lower proof than what this one is, but
Yeah.
I think those come across richer
Okay.
than what this one is. And I think Jake touched on it. I think part of the issue with this one is the age. It only being 4 years in that original heavy char barrel, you're not giving it enough time to pull the flavors out of that barrel that you spent so much time and energy charring the shit out of.
And that price point.
And that's what I'm saying. Like it's the similar price point as some other double barrel or toasted products that are on the shelves, and yet I think it falls short, even though it's a higher proof than the other ones.
They're competing against themselves with that price point. When I was at the store looking at this, you had suggested this just because we haven't done it. And is it newer?
No, it's been around for a
All
couple
right,
years.
but we haven't done it yet. Nate gave a few suggestions for me to look for in the store, and looking at it, I mean, nothing extraordinary in price, right? $55, but I mean,
It's pretty average anymore.
compared to what else was sitting next to it, Penelope style, it was like, oh, this. If it's more expensive than another one that is sitting there, you expect it. You can't quantify it exactly, but like this should be good.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Cigar.
Cigar. I'm
What?
Nothing. I feel like you're gonna nothing.
I'm going to do an 8 on the cigar.
Wow.
No.
8 out of 20.
I thought the curvature was gonna.
Well, I'm not judging the cigar based on the appearance because, like I said, looking at this one that's still in cello, the one you're holding.
That's the first one I've seen do that.
Yeah, this one looked very rough, like it had been beat up, or
Yeah.
like, it looked like someone completely else rolled it, like Jake rolled it, and not a
Wow,
pro
that's-
down.
damn.
It's a double
I do
insult,
suck
really.
at rolling.
But no, it's not as rich as I was expecting from the blend, but it still packs a lot of flavor. It's not as strong as I was expecting, still a lot of flavor. Like Spencer touched on, it's fairly smooth smoking. It's got this, as I said, kind of this rustic flavor that Steve alluded, campfire the next morning.
Not wrong.
It's got good flavor.
Did you retro on it?
Oh yeah, there's just a little bit of spice on the retro. It's not overwhelming spice on the retro for me.
I'm interrupting you in your time of talking. I'm sorry, but it from what you said earlier with the Juarez or with the Mexican San Andreas, I think that's where I get that retro hail. That's what I get from the retro hail is that Mexican San Andreas binder a lot.
I get it on the retro, but it also for me, I don't get the richness and chocolatiness that I expect from
You're fine.
a Connecticut broadleaf
Right.
Maduro.
Yeah.
And that could be because it's been aged for 3 years. They may have aged some of that richness out of it in order to smooth it down.
Maybe.
Because there are some people that do not like Connecticut broadleaf for one way or the other.
Bye, Kyle.
I think this one, though, if you're not a fan of Connecticut broadleaf Maduro, like you could still enjoy this one because I don't think that flavor dominates the palate.
That's why I like it. You're exactly right.
How about the pairing?
Pairing, I'm gonna do a 5 on the pairing.
Damn, I don't
Even
remember us
though-
doing 5.
Yeah.
Even though this cigar,
2025.
Really
Coming in hot.
no, it's even though this cigar is not,
Cancel the podcast.
even though this cigar is not full body,
wanted.
I think
Pissed
at
in this
100
bottle.
proof, this cigar overpowers this bourbon.
Yeah.
And
The
when I-
cigar overpowers the bourbon.
I waited a
Yes.
while before drinking the whiskey because I wanted to try this cigar
Mm-hmm.
and focus mainly on the cigar because Jake's here.
That's nice of you.
And when I went to the whiskey, like it wasn't there. And maybe this whiskey would taste better on a clean palate without a cigar. I don't know.
Or a different cigar to the point that we were talking about
Possibly.
earlier.
But even though this cigar is not full bodied, it's got a lot of flavor, but it's not a strong cigar necessarily. it overpowers 100 proof level 5 char toasted bourbon. Like that just like that just does not make sense in my head.
Got it.
Like that.
Okay.
Like that.
Good take. Spencer?
So they're going to give it a 10.
So I think we've been over the cigar and the bourbon, but I'm just going to kind of be quick with this. The bourbon itself, I'm going to do a 6.2. We've all been hammering it, but we're also all drinking it. I do think that it is it's a light drink. The cigar, fantastic cigar. Mine was constructed perfectly.
Thank you.
0 issues, still going strong. One light. Love the limited edition. Makes me feel special about having a cigar. And I'm going to go 8.4 on the cigar itself.
Nice.
The pairing, I don't think the whiskey was a very much an afterthought with the pairing itself.
Yeah,
it was the cigar was the star of the show. The bourbon was just kind of secondary, but it was nice because I got to enjoy the cigar and got to sip on it. I'm going to go 7 with the pairing itself. I will say, Jake, I was really impressed. You've always had this palate, man, since I've known you. It was crazy. Like you were, I don't know, 24 when I met you, 23.
Yeah.
And you sounded, 13, and you're just chugging whiskey and smoking cigars. But the way that you introduced it and the brand, it was just so cool to just listen to how far you've come and how educated you are and how much of an expert you are with the cigar. It was really a pleasure to listen to you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. And looking forward to what you got at the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of with you guys. I don't want to say you guys were a little harsh on this bottle, but I think I'm actually going to, the pairing is the problem in my opinion. And in fact, as we go into part 2, I think that save these last pours of this.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The second cigar, what do we have?
You can do the Cornetta if you want.
Cornetta
Everybody
Habano.
has that one.
I've got blood medicine.
I'll give you a Cornetta.
Okay. Let's do the Cornetta.
He's got one over there.
Let's do the Habano. Yeah, pass it down. You have one as well?
Yes.
Spencer.
He should.
I want to light up cigar 2
with that.
Got
it.
Just to
That'll
see
be a good one.
Where we're at with the pairing part.
That'll be a complete difference.
The pairing, I'm with you guys. This was a bad pairing. This was a shot in the dark. We don't know. None of us had this bottle.
To your defense, you guys didn't know what cigar I was bringing either. It wasn't like we were trying.
But it doesn't have.
But that's
that's the point here. So I think that the pairing.
But every cigar goes with every.
I'll
bourbon.
go with the 6. I don't know what
it does. You can have every cigar with every bourbon.
You can have, absolutely. I don't know if it goes well. It goes with.
Like the first year I worked there.
So 6 on the pairing, and the whiskey. I'm a 6 on the whiskey.
What'd you say on the cigar?
I haven't gotten there yet. I started with the pairing.
Damn,
It's his show. He can do whatever he wants.
I think no. Well, I think that the pairing is the. I think that's where we missed. So I don't. There are times on this show where when you guys listen out there, I don't want to deter you from getting a bottle or a cigar if we missed on the pairing.
Yeah.
And typically, if we start with a cigar rep or vendor or manufacturer, or vice versa, a bourbon or whatever the spirit is, if we start with that person as a guest, we try to maybe focus more on that. There are times that we don't even light up a cigar right away because we want to make sure we get a fresh take on the bottle. Tonight, we just kind of went into both. So I think that is, to Jake's point, it is not, what's that?
Just like old times.
Yeah. The whiskey, I'm a 6 also, just based on tonight with the pairing. I'm not going to defend Penelope. They obviously seem to be doing okay. But I just don't like the marketing behind this for the flavor. That's my biggest problem with this bottle. I don't like to see toasted. And I know you can't always see the bottle or how they're marketing it and expect a flavor, but with this toasted word, Nate, you said it's kind of a buzzword. This is something like in the cigar world, which is I'm more familiar with, is like sun grown or whatever, like the bullshit
natural
things. Now, that doesn't make any sense all the time. You know what I mean? So it's not always going to translate in toasted. It's not. Well, Amburana, though, it should. I mean, that's going to be a little different. That's more specific, right?
Now, their freaking Amburana is amazing.
Right.
It's amazing.
And with the cigar, I'm with you guys. I'm at an 8. This is nice. It's unique. It's got a nice balance to it. I don't think this cigar is going to go with every bourbon. I think
No.
that's where I'm going back to my pairing aspect of it. Is I don't think this one is an easily paired cigar with a lot of bourbons. I don't think this would go with a lot of weeded bourbons. I don't think this would go with a lot of lighter proof bourbons. I think this one's going to be something that is unique in the blend, which it is with that San Andres binder with the broadleaf, right? So you've got a uniqueness here that is going to be a balance, as we talked about. So I think the cigar on its own is great, but it's an 8, I'd say, but it's thrown off a lot of, I think, what we're tasting on our palates.
How about a bold red wine?
That may work.
I think it would work with some
a Merlot.
I'd go a little
drier.
Yeah.
Zen.
Reason there.
Amarone.
Riesling.
Amarone.
Zen.
No one knows what you're talking about. All right, nerd.
Merlot's really dry for me. What's drier than a Merlot?
Zen, yeah. What?
Nothing.
Oh, what he said, I guess.
Zinfandel?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think some cabs can be also.
Yeah. I would probably put this like, you're right.
Great cigar, though, Jake.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. So with that, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank our sponsors. Everyone else, shut up.
And we're out.
We will go into part 2 here. Topic's going to begin again, just like we're doing with the podcast this week. And stay tuned. We will take a quick intermission here, and we'll be back within a couple of moments. Say moments. So I'm going to put on here real quick like that. See you in just a second. Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 330, and we are in part 2. We've got Nate Hale, we've got Jake Sanders, we've got Spencer Lappin here, and I just lit up the Crowned Heads. All right, good sound effects, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lit up the Crowned Heads Cornetta Habano here. We in the first part we were smoking the Four Kicks Mule Kick 2025. So if you're just tuning in, make sure you
How do I use that?
check back on part 1 to listen to the reviews of that Crowned Heads cigar, along with we're still sipping on the Penelope Toasted series, and listen to our comments and kind of review of that one as well. One of the things that I'm looking forward to is seeing how this might change with what we've got with the Penelope here, with the Cornetta Habano. But I do want to thank our sponsors here, the Tinder Box at Easton, Columbus, Ohio. They've got a big event coming up here, and everyone here is going to be there.
Woo!
So Smoking 10 event 2025 is going to be Sunday, March 16th, and it will be 10:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. We do have a handful of spots available if you guys want to join there. Jake will be there with Crowned Heads, along with 11 different companies as well. You're going to get around 14 cigars, just part of the ticket price. You're going to get brunch, you're going to get lunch, and you are also going to get to meet some of the reps in the area. You're going to meet some of the industry leaders as well and hear from them directly, just in conversation, and also in the Q&A during the lunch portion. There's going to be a killer sales table as well. You guys can stock up even more cigars than what you're getting, along with Crowned Heads. If you buy 2 packs, you get a lot of goodies from Jake Sanders and Crowned Heads, along with some of the other companies we talked to last week and some that we haven't talked to yet on the podcast recently. But we want to welcome you guys back. So Tinder Box at Easton, Columbus, Ohio.
And
Call
the best
them.
damn raffle in the lane.
Best damn raffle in the
It will
land.
be a good raffle.
It will be some great prices there.
Oh yeah.
Altadis USA will also be there. Thank you for the continued support from them. They're going to have several people there: David, Maria, maybe Josh, who's been on the show before. And they're going to have some great handout cigars, as well as some great sales samplers as well. So
That sales table
check
is
them out.
just insane.
It is crazy. So you guys check that out. Great multi-vendor event. And then also be a cigar company. The gold is made by Plasencia. The silver is made by Espinosa. Those are going to be available at Tinder Box at Easton, as well as some other location, including Carfagna's in the northern part of Columbus here, and Royale for the time being as well. We'll see how that goes with the staffing changes over there.
How about the special? Have we talked? Did you talk about that last week?
Special.
The special cigar for the 10 event?
Yeah, we did last week. So Espinosa Cigars, Eric and Hector worked on it as well. There's going to be a cigar called the STE 2025.
Nice.
Event only cigar. It is on the bolder side. Fantastic. Coming in a little bit fatter Robusto there, but
Box press, right?
That-
Lou,
it
Lou
is.
McGinnis says Josh will be there.
nice. You heard it here first.
He should know, right?
Yeah.
I love Lou.
We
Good
will
dude.
be there. He's definitely coming. He
I
bought a
love-
ticket. So
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
He better be there.
Hell yeah. I love Lou. man.
Tonight, part 2. This is where we kind of go off the normal cigar and spirit type of a podcast, but we have a topic tonight called Begin Again. I thought it was fitting with what we're doing here in the garage. We've got one of the co-founders, Jake, here with
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
for the podcast. Thank you for coming. Spencer, who has been around since the very beginning as well, and Nate, who has been around since the very beginning, has become the co-host. And
Hell yeah.
For now, what, 3 years, 4 years?
It's been
Oh, no.
more than that.
2020.
2020. Great year.
Or it was
blacked-
either December
blacked
19 or
out.
January.
It was
20.
December
It
19.
was December 19
because that's when I left.
That's when Jake went to Indianapolis.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nate pushed his ass out the door. I was like, you know,
He was like, I got the soundboard. Stop
arguing
arguing.
now. Mark it down.
Yeah.
And then it was
2020.
smooth sailing.
I wear a size 12, but my foot ain't that big to kick in.
Ah.
So
Bend
tonight's
over,
topic, is Begin Again, and we're kicking off the show back off with a new breath of fresh air, and it feels good to begin again. Life is full of starts, endings, and new beginnings. What are you feeling in life right now, and what have been good new beginnings for you? Go ahead, guys.
Okay.
Well, since the last time I was on the podcast,
You've had a few life changes.
yeah, I'm a new man, Nate. Got married.
great.
Thank you. Got married. Have a baby boy coming in late July. So I feel a little different than the last time I was on the podcast. but it's nice to come back and do stuff like this that brings us back to, our roots and our friends and things like that. And it's weird when you go through these life changes. We got new houses and all that type of good stuff going on too.
Absolutely.
It puts stuff into perspectives real quick. Anytime you have a new job or new relationships, or new statuses in life, it puts things into perspective real quick.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting.
How old are you?
42.
Yeah.
So starting a little later in life with everything, but to have a new wife who was here earlier today, and to have a kid on the way, it's amazing. I don't know what else to say, but you feel like a new person, feel like everything else you did leading up to this point is just different, man. So I just feel very lucky, very fortunate, and to be able to celebrate something like that with you three guys is just a very special moment for me personally.
Hell yeah.
Great wedding.
Thank you. Yeah, good wedding. And but that almost is like secondary to just, we found out we were pregnant a little bit before the wedding, and that put everything in perspective real quick as to what's important in life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's my new beginnings.
Yeah.
The vacations together can be a little different, but
vacations are different. I'm drinking for two now.
That's
We're
right.
still going on vacations, but
I expect you to be going on
but now you're gonna have
vacations
to go
with
to
us.
The family side.
the good news is she encourages me to have a cigar and to have a bourbon, because she knows that calms my butt down a little bit.
That's right.
So I'm very lucky that way, that I'm sure you guys have partners as well that encourage you, but mine says, why don't you have a drink? Why don't you have a cigar? Why don't you chill the fuck
woman there.
chill the fuck out, man?
Normally it's the other way around.
Yeah,
it's the other way around.
Maybe you need to stop.
I've said that to her. I was like, you're the only wife that I know that says that to somebody, but I'm very fortunate. I got a good woman. I mean, we were engaged for a couple of years. We were dating a year before that, so it took us a little bit to get to the altar, and then but now we're full blown steam, and now we're ready to go, and now taking walks with the pregnant wife, and life is good right now. Just trying to work hard and enjoy these types of moments, as much as I can.
Well, I think, again, being a friend of yours and being a part of the wedding, it was knowing you throughout all of the time you've known Jennifer. It was great to see the wedding weekend and seeing you guys up at the altar, and timing or whatever you're talking about there it was right. It was really, it was one of those weddings, if you guys have been to those out there, that it was just perfect.
Thank you. And I do greatly apologize that we couldn't include everybody that I wanted to include, just because we ran out of space. Otherwise,
it wasn't a big room.
Out of these two gentlemen to the right, I really did want to include, because they've been a big part of the life. But when you're with someone, you don't get to make all the decisions that you want to make.
I get that.
But you guys have been part of my life for a while, and I'm sure we'll be a part of many moments with everybody here at the table here going.
I invited all you guys to.
Well, it was like the week. It was
It's
like
true.
But it's a bigger room.
It's true.
It's a gigantic beach.
It's true.
No, I remember like a week before your wedding. I remember reaching out to Steve because I hadn't gotten anything. Like we'd gotten to save the date, but we hadn't gotten an invitation. And Steve explained the whole situation. It's like, yeah, the room can only accommodate this, and they invited this many people, and there were more people they thought.
It
sure is a headache.
It's
and
you guys are important parts of my life, and I wanted to. We just couldn't do it.
Popular.
We just got too many family. If some of the family would have fallen off, you guys would have been in this
Big families.
It was a great excuse because Jess and I had already taken the day off from work.
Okay,
it was a Saturday. Both of us were supposed to be at work that day, and when we found out, I looked at Jess and I was like, "All right, so we're not going. Like, do you want to still just take the day off, or do you want to go to work?" She's like,
"At least it was a nice day."
She's like, "I want to take the day off." I'm like, all right.
Oh yeah.
You guys will be at the next one, I promise.
Whoa.
I'm kidding.
Shout out to Jen. Yeah.
Oh,
No, you have had a lot going on, which is great. It's nice to see.
It's growing up.
It is nice. And now, speaking of new beginnings, we're in a new home.
Yes.
We are.
Where that Steve and Kristen have purchased together, and it is a beautiful home. This is the third house we've been to with one of these.
Yes.
I think this is the best, right?
2 owned and 1 rented.
Yeah. So this one's the best so far. I can't wait to
So
see the next
far.
one.
It's the first
Cool,
week.
not in the market
But the
now.
backdrop is the same.
Yeah, nothing's changed.
Pegboard and banner.
Yeah.
So
Still
I'm saying
drywall.
something- I don't want to freak the viewers out. You know,
It's
You
nicer
can't
on the inside. I
Still
promise.
drywall and a
No,
door.
This is nice.
Yeah, this is nice.
nice.
Yeah.
Like the
Yes.
corkboard behind us.
It's a
nice.
beautiful
Oh,
tablecloth.
that's nice. I didn't see you got bottles over there. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, those shelves came
Yeah.
with the pegboard.
Little caddy shack
With them,
over
I was
there.
Like, hey, you got some of these old bottles? Let's put the old bottles on there.
But yeah, it does feel like, when you brought the limited edition 2025, it just seems wild to me that this is
Yeah.
2025. I mean, I graduated high school in 2020. So to say it's been
That's not right.
25, it does.
2000. I graduated in 2020.
No, I graduated high school from
2000. There we go.
Not 2020. Damn.
You look terrible.
I thought I was young.
You look
You got held back.
Does anyone else have something they'd like to talk about?
Well, what I was going to say is that yes, I think there's a lot of that breath of fresh air. When you say 2025, I mean, I agree with you because I graduated high school in 1998, and a lot of our viewers are younger, some are older as well. But I mean, it's something that 2025 feels like you're in the future, right? I mean, this is something that was supposed to be so far out.
Flying cars.
Supposed to be flying cars. We're getting there, I think. But I think that it's this is the first official podcast of 2025 for us.
Yep.
And that's another reason why this is really nice to do. The main reason that we haven't done the podcast is because it is done in my garage, and to do the full experience with smoking cigars, having the bottle, and sitting down with people is that you can't be inside most places, So this is something that we've been fortunate to do. The first house we started this in, where I was renting the house, moved in that neighborhood, bought a house myself, and we were able to do it there. Did it for a long time up until about November of 2024. And then Kristen and I were buying this house. I was selling my previous house. And during that time, it's like smoking is invasive to that process if you're doing it in part of the home, which is the garage. So
Yep.
It's very, very nice that
Well,
we're able to kick it back off. I have a very fantastic fiance, soon to be wife, and that she respects. This is something that when she met me, this is something that's important to me and also to the people that are important in my life. Like you three here have been a part since the beginning. So it's like we're doing this again in this garage, and it is a new beginning, and it feels very comfortable and yet different, which is nice, which I think a lot of times when you have new beginnings, that's the way it should be, is that it should feel not this per se as much that it's nerve wracking, but you should have a little bit of butterflies in the stomach. You should have a little bit of nervousness.
Exciting.
It's the excitement of it, but it should be something hopefully that you're excited about. I think that's the biggest part about a new beginning. Jake, how about you? How you been?
Been good, man. I mean, I know I don't want to sound like a kind of a cliche, but like when you ever ask like somebody how they're been, like it's always like, hey, like busy, good but busy, blah blah blah. Yeah, we've been good. I mean, busy. So I mean, first of this year, like we've just like kicked it off like strong with Crowned Heads and Oz Family Cigars, PCA. Premium Cigar Association coming up in April this year, so it's in a different month. Excited to see that a little bit further from TPE this year. TPE is normally in January. Last year was way too close, if you're asking my opinion, and it kind of put a damper on the year. But we came out with like 2 new releases that we talked about in part 1 in the first 2 months of this year, and it's I've sold out my allotments in both. Very, very excited about that, especially coming off the year last year with my parents' health issues.
You had a year.
Yeah, and luckily, and that affected the job and stuff, and kind of put a damper on things. But we're back. I did want to kind of, I don't know if you ever stepped foot in Filson when it was still at Easton, Steve, but I don't know if you remember.
Couldn't afford anything, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember Chris. He's a big burly guy with glasses, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So Chris used to work, and do stuff as far as come up with graphics and stuff. And he actually like drew small cartoons and
Okay.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really a nice illustrator. But anyways, he's doing this thing now on Instagram that's called Code of the West. And his parents live in Idaho. I believe it's Idaho or Montana, and they built this beautiful ranch and stuff. And he's coming out with these like different passages and talking about life and stuff, which is pretty cool. But this is something. I just had a birthday. I turned 30 last weekend.
Shut up.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
big 3-0.
How do you feel?
It's
How old do you feel?
I don't feel old. I feel
How old do you feel?
I don't feel old. I feel better than I did when I was 26.
So do you feel 26?
Yeah, sure.
What have you learned in the last year?
Well, that's what I was about to get to. So like, so Chris is doing these passages, and it's called Code of the West, if you want to check it out on Facebook or Instagram. But he put one of these things out, one of these passages that he wrote, and he was talking about criticism. And if I may, I'll kind of say it. And now it's my new screensaver on I kind of did like a Crowned Heads and Oz Family Cigar,
nice.
and I made it my, screensaver on my phone now. But something that I struggle with a lot in life is criticisms. I take a lot of things to heart, which if you've been following for years, we've divulged in those quite a bit.
7 years.
With me personally, earlier episodes weren't my finest moments, but
I gave the cigar an 8.4, bro.
yeah.
I mean, you were 23 to 25.
Yeah.
during those first couple of years of the show.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to Steve a lot about this, like in our relationship as friends, and like when we met, like I'm 5 different people than I was like when we met, and he's seen me at my worst and he's seen me at my best. So, but this passage goes on to say, criticism costs nothing, a few words, a quick jab, a throwaway comment, easy, disposable, forgotten, but building something that costs. To build requires time, effort, and risk, and the same is true for how we speak to others. A compliment takes precedence. It takes sincerity. It takes the willingness to be real in a world wired for cynicism. That's why so many avoid it. Negativity is safe. It keeps you at a distance. Positivity is risk. It asks you to show up fully. But if you want to shape the world around you, start by shaping your words, because no one builds a legacy by tearing things apart. And the reason why I say this passage, and kind of like along with, what we're talking about with Begin Again, is that I've noticed, and I've kind of had like an epiphany, you're asking like what I learned in the last year and what I've seen and how I feel like at 30 and turning 30. I literally made this screensaver on my birthday. And I went to an account. I won't name the account, but I went to an account.
Tinder Box?
No, I went to an account.
He's not allowed to set foot in there.
And we
Just the back 10.
Yeah. So I go in there and I'm doing a regular visit and everything. And, we go through our visit, and I love these guys, and they're really, really good people.
Definitely not
And-
$10.
And
Oh
so,
my God.
so we go in the back, and he sits me
Sorry.
down, and we start talking about an issue that came up, and it had to do with politics and bullshit. And it had to do with my, let's say my repostings of my beliefs and my morals and
On social media.
about social. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that may be portrayed in a certain political light.
You were too liberal.
Yeah, that's not it. But I think that it was brought to my attention that it was brought to the account's attention that they had a consumer that would no longer follow me or support me in any way. And it was kind of difficult to, hear that because I try to do my best. I try to treat everybody with respect. And in any shape or form or color. And so I think besides all that, I think looking at this passage and seeing this is that, and the fact that I did it the same day, I was talking to Alicia as I'm driving, and I'm trying to like understand with all my windshield time, like what God's throwing at me and what the world's throwing at me, and like the lessons that I try to learn and like try to be better. And the thing that I noticed the most is that the older that I get, even at 30, the lessons in life seem to be coming quicker. So what I mean by that is that if you read something and that means a lot to you in that moment, for me, with my belief in my religion, God is going to show me that much quicker and try to challenge me in that regard. And that's what I kind of decided with this, and having that moment with an account of people that I care about kind of judging me in a way based off of practically nothing other than a political statement. And I think that is what I'm going to live like 2025 by, is understanding that it's very easy for people to give criticism. And it's kind of funny considering that Nate and I just gave a shitty review of Penelope Bourbon, like on part one of this.
Part one. You guys don't give away if you haven't listened to part one.
It's almost gone.
It's literally almost
We're
gone.
doing great, guys.
But
It's there.
it's just kind of ironic in what I'm saying, and I understand.
No, I have a couple of follow-ups there.
But I think for me, that's going to be, like my lesson, and like that's what I've learned.
Honestly, you should talk to your boss Miguel about that, because even though you and Miguel may be on opposite sides of that particular spectrum.
No, me and Miguel talk about it all the time, which is great.
Miguel is one of those that and he'll admit it because we've had this conversation with him in person. Miguel is one of those that years ago, he was very vocal on social media about his political beliefs.
Yeah.
And his tend to go kind of the other way of the cigar community.
Yeah.
And
for the majority, I guess.
And there were some bridges burned, and
which is terrible.
And then once he realized that, like he actually took it upon himself to like apologize to certain people.
Yeah.
That he may have attacked unjustly.
Yeah.
And that's why, and that was just one of those growing up adult moments.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure that people listening, it seems a little bit more, but literally all I do is repost certain things.
Yeah, but that's the game of social media, right?
Yeah. And to
not game, but that's that's what a lot of people
do.
You're
and
I piss off 50% of people with whatever you post.
What I don't want to like divulge too much into like the direct, like the situation. But to me, I looked at, the other guy and I said, I appreciate you bringing this to my attention, but, and I would never, if you're asking me to do something or censor myself,
that's what that was my second question.
That is something that I will not do, because I don't.
That was the response.
Yeah, because I know how you guys roll, and I would never tell you to change your life.
Was that
based
recently?
Off of me? Very recently.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
So
it's interesting that you bring it up, and we're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but I mean, it's interesting you bring it up right now. That was when it was said.
I know.
Right? So this is where we're at again.
When's your birthday?
Last Friday.
I don't know. What's the date?
March 7th.
My first question, or not first question, when I was listening to you speak there, you said, and I think this is the way you said, is that as you've gotten older, that lessons are coming at you faster.
Correct.
I'm of the opinion that as you get older, you're more observant and you're more listening.
It's probably what it is.
And knowing you specifically, and I think it's very universal for most people, is that when you are younger, the lessons are coming at the same speed.
You just don't care.
you're just not listening.
You're full of piss and vinegar.
Well, and it's not when you hear that,
you feel like you're 24 and you're invincible.
Well,
correct.
So when you hear you say the lessons are coming, that means that you're doing something wrong, possibly, and you're learning from your mistakes. You're learning from other people. I think that it's not always, the lessons aren't always going to be against what you're doing. Lessons can reaffirm what you feel strongly about, or that you're doing well.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that lessons don't have to have a negative connotation, in my opinion.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah. So like lessons have been coming at you all the time and will continue to do that, or whatever, like the term lesson.
It
doesn't stop. It's just a matter of, are you open to hearing what's going on or seeing what's going on? And is it a lesson to you, or is it something that you are just going to let go like past you? You're not even going to give it a time of day, which I think in your knowing you, I think that might've been where it was earlier in life, is that it's not that they weren't coming at you. It's just like you weren't open to or as open to. And this is not just Jake. This is a lot of people. It's like there are times in your life when things are, with this topic being what it is, new beginnings, or when things end, it's because you have finally either been forced to listen or forced to observe, or you finally opened yourself up to observing, and all of a sudden you may realize that you are either surrounding yourself by people that you shouldn't be, or you don't want to, or you're going down a path in life that you may or may not want to continue to go down that path, and you don't know what that stigma is that's going to do it.
Or two separate social media pages.
Or that. Yeah. Well, I totally understand that. And that's like the simplification of it, right? But I think for me, it really comes down to that I was tired of, just feeling like angry about stupid shit, like flying off the handles about dumb stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I still feel connected to those that don't really agree with me in a way, or the way that people react to me, or try to give me criticism or cynicism. It's easy to do that, and I think that the lesson here is that you're not going to make everyone happy, and that's okay. There's ways to not put there's not a easy way to say all this, but there's a way that you don't have to put a target on your back, but I'm going to be true to myself, just like I expect everybody that I respect to be true to themselves.
Well, I'll say, following you on social media also, it wasn't necessarily offensive stuff. It wasn't directed negatively towards something. If anything, it was promoting one thing most that you believe, whether it be religiously or
which everyone has that
politically. They should, right? And so that's the thing, is that,
and that was my point too.
Everyone has the right to free speech, but everyone also has the right to
not like the person with the speech,
or not the person, or just the speech itself. I mean, that's. I mean, you can post. I have no idea what you posted, but there's consequences to anything you post.
Between you and I and us on the table, I think it was very,
and no one
and
listening
everyone
outside.
listening.
No, I'm going to mute this part. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I just think, I know it's very easy for me to say it, but I think my stuff was very minimal compared to a lot of people.
Well, not everyone loves when you post all that Kamala stuff. I know
it's hard. Well, but Spencer, we can't
swallowed a bug.
But Spencer, we can't know where we're going.
Hang on.
So if we don't know what has been.
Becca says, I think it's more lessons are harder to learn or harder to digest the older you get.
They can be.
The older you get, the more your eyes are open to everything. So you learn tough lessons and have to humble yourself a bit. What do you guys think?
I think the stakes are higher the older that you get.
That's for sure.
I think you can go either way, because you can either be one of those where, yes, the stakes are higher, or as you get older, you could be more set in your ways.
That's a good point.
To where you're then resistant to anything that's different.
Just like you go into life in a diaper, you leave in a diaper. If you last long enough, the same thing. When you're young and dumb, you don't listen. And when you get stuck in your ways, you don't listen.
You just become old.
You got to really get that sweet spot.
I can't wait till you're 45, bro. It's going to be.
Yeah.
No, I like hearing that, though. And I like the fact that when you, hopefully, and I assume you did, respectfully talk to that account where it was like, I understand where you're coming from, and I hope your sales don't suffer. That's the world we're living in right now, especially in this country, is that
it's a damn shame.
It can be one thing or another. I mean, I will.
Business is business, though, man.
I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but very, very briefly, the shift of Tesla has been, without getting into the issues, it was the EV and Tesla thing, and it was very, very much in this country, especially a very liberal thing, very green, all this stuff. And much of the very conservative far right people were like, no, let's give me the gas guzzlers, all this stuff.
Yep.
Then fast forward to what we're doing right now. It's now the conservatives, as of very recent days, are starting to look at Teslas, and they're starting to produce possibly more.
Yeah.
And the people that were promoting it were against it because of what we're talking
just
about
of a political
on a greater
scale,
if you will, but very similar.
But isn't that insane?
I don't know. I flicked off a Tesla truck yesterday. I don't know why, but I just
That's ugly as shit. That's ugly as shit.
I was like, I don't know why, but I just need to do it.
No, my point is, again, I don't want to get down that point, but it's very interesting.
But is that not insane to you?
No, I don't think it's insane. I think
You separate the art from the artist.
Well, can you not be objective?
No, I think
why cannot people like why? And that's what I told my
you
account.
Can't separate. Most people can't separate it,
which is a shame.
Well, I was a huge Dixie Chicks fan back when I was growing up in the high school.
Well, you can't say that. It's a Chicks.
Well, that's where I was going with it. Huge Dixie Chick fan, and all of a sudden they spoke out against Bush, if I recall correctly.
They did, yes.
And all of a sudden they were basically canceled before cancel culture, as they
really were, though.
Yeah, they were.
It was like canceled. Gone.
And so the country music community kind of, to your point, Jake, I was like, fucking still like their music. I know, me too. What they're saying. I don't agree necessarily what they're saying, but I still, they've got some great music, great bangers, and all that stuff, and it's fine. And then they fast forward to now, and it's like, oh, we can't call ourselves the Dixie Chicks,
right?
We're the Chicks, and I'm like,
Lady A.
Well, no, but the Chicks, and even that one, not to go down that rabbit hole, but I'm like,
I think we're going down the rabbit hole.
The Chicks part is okay. In this political climate, you can call yourself the Chicks, which could be misconstrued as a derogatory thing towards women, if you could define it.
But they can say that.
Watch it. You just went down the rabbit hole.
No, but my point is that Jake,
so back.
That person probably will feel convicted enough in their thoughts or beliefs or whatever that they may not buy cigars, and that would be something between you and your employer.
Correct.
That if they tell you to do what Spencer said, jokingly but also seriously, you have a private account and you have because in our industry, and Spencer has a Spencer Lappin account. What is it again for the viewers? No, I'm just kidding. And then he has a business.
I only follow his.
But so he has a business account as well, and he separates what he posts on there. But I think you're also pretty cognizant of what you post on your personal page.
You're not the first, right?
Yeah.
But if you are a public figure, which you are, and you have 99% of what you post is, I'm assuming, unoffensive to anybody. But if you are a public figure,
but 99% of what I post is not that stuff either.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
No, you said that. Yeah.
It's a conscious decision that you, as a business person, have to make the decision.
Yeah. Is
the juice worth the squeeze?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And you, as an individual, have to make that decision, and you'll make it one way or another. And you just don't want to, in my humble opinion, I don't want to alienate people business wise because of social views. Not everyone feels that way, but that's just how I've decided to conduct my stuff.
Yeah.
And I've had friends that have, they post gun stuff, they post cigars, and some said, okay, I don't care, I want to keep posting when I post. And some are like, this affects my business, so I'm not going to do that. Not because I want to silence myself, but because it affects my business.
I get that.
Well, especially if it's not your business, which, Spencer, you are a business owner at this point.
Right, but everyone has a boss. Like I got 5 bosses. You got 2 bosses.
Sure,
everyone has a boss. Everyone has a boss.
Yeah,
no, that's a good point.
But it's a decision that you make. But I also wouldn't let the minority voice affect the majority.
Well, and this is
the vocal minority affect the silent majority of the people.
Correct, and that was kind of like where I was going with my passage is that the criticism and the cynicism will come easy. And that was like an easy way for me to look at myself and say, like, yeah, like you can go through life and not like tell people your views, but it's also me being real, which is what that passage says. It's me being authentically me without being offensive to the 99.9%.
So you deal with the positives of it, but
Correct.
then you also got to deal with the consequences.
Yeah,
of it.
which I explained to them that I will deal with them. And the thing is I ended the conversation with, and I'll end this conversation with this, is that
fuck you.
No. Like 5 years ago, I would have said that. But like now I said, if it wasn't going to be that, it would have been something else that would have derived from that point of view.
And it has nothing to do with you personally. It has something to do
with them.
With them, the idea of
Correct.
what you represent.
If I wear cowboy boots and I look like a white masculine male, that would have been bothered. That would have bothered them. If they were that affected by some things that were factual posts, then it would have been something else that would have deterred them from following me anyways.
So within the topic of begin again, how does that relate to begin again?
Because I learned a new lesson about myself, allowing myself to understand criticism instead of feeling like a piece of shit about it.
Wonderful.
That's big. Yeah, that is something. That is something that is huge, and I think that's something that possibly as you get older, more experience, or you go through life experiences, is that it doesn't always happen for a lot of people. But I think you realize that you don't necessarily have to win everything.
No,
and you don't need to make a point so strong with every in this social media post world. You don't have to it's not always an argument. It's not always
send me
being
the
right.
post separately just so I could see it on the side.
Well, it's just all, that's the thing is everything's on my stories. So they're all gone in a fucking day anyways.
Nate, how about you?
Sorry.
Nate, you posted some really offensive stuff the other day.
All right. I know that picture of that cup of coffee this morning just really derailed.
That was really white of you.
It ain't Starbucks.
All
I ain't
right.
drinking.
No, this is actually a pretty relative topic to
There you go.
some stuff in my life, especially compared to a year ago or a month ago.
Better with the whiskey too.
Oh yeah.
A year ago or a month ago, I was in a completely different headspace with stuff going on in my personal life. And then recently, so a year ago when some stuff was going on, had a conversation with that person and nothing changed whatsoever after that.
You want me to talk to Steve about it?
Nope.
Okay.
And
He's about to do it on air. Hang on, let's go. I'm just gonna do one of these things.
But then recently, that conversation came up again, and different setting, but still the same kind of conversation. I talked about what I was feeling, what I felt was missing, and right then and there, things changed. And in the time period since then, the relationship with that person has completely changed. My mindset's changed. I'm in a much happier place. My mindset's completely different.
What was the change then? What did
this
it?
ain't that kind of podcast.
No, I'm not saying that. What was the clicking point? I guess what do you think?
You want to go on?
Hang on.
It was home life.
That's
Okay.
what do you think?
Without going into specifics.
Yeah. What was the clicking point?
And just
was
names.
Was it being consistent with your feelings and what you were dealing with? Was it something changed with the other party? Was it what do you think?
Or just
changed?
nipping in the bud or having
Because I think this is a universal thing. Sometimes there's two parties for a lot of these different changes.
I
in
think
life.
last year, just the situation when I brought it up, maybe that conversation or that topic didn't get taken seriously. But then recently when that topic came back up, it was in a different situation.
Okay.
Same person, same topic, but now a different situation. And that person was much more receptive to what I was saying.
Same audience,
and
different venue.
Towards my feelings about
or timing.
that issue.
Timing, yeah.
Could be timing as well for the other person, because you always have to take that into account.
Sure.
Things in your life, things in their life, headspace, what they're going through, what you're going through, don't necessarily always mesh up. But that conversation led to a very different outcome, a much more enjoyable outcome, and things have been better since then between the two of us. My mental space has been a lot better since then. And so it kind of feels like what should have been happening like a decade ago.
So, okay, was it like, that's the thing, is why wasn't that the outcome several years ago? Because I think that's something that, you know, again, with new beginnings or begin again, and with endings and stuff, because not necessarily knowing what you're talking about, but you're keeping it vague, and I like that because it does.
I hate
possibly.
it. Right.
Spencer wants to know exactly what happened.
I want names.
With who
I want
and how it happened.
I want time.
But no.
After show, maybe.
All right, no.
Definitely not on the fucking camera.
But I guess what.
All right, cameras
off.
No, it's not. I can still see it.
What's that blinking red light? No, it's interesting because timing does have a lot to do with it, and also the level of how you can communicate, how to articulate what you're trying to get across. I think that's a big part of it, because
I think also,
whether it be a job, a relationship, whatever else, and we've done this before a long time ago, whatever the arena you're dealing, whatever aspect of life you're dealing with, is that if you shut down, if you don't communicate, whatever it is all of that stuff, it really plays a big impact on what the outcome will be. And that outcome could be what you're talking about right now, which is great. It can be an ending of something. You know, if you don't feel like your needs are being met, whether it be a job, personal relationship, a friendship, whatever it is, a venture you're going through, you're like, I just don't get it. I'm not getting there. And you hear a lot of success stories also where they were about to give up, and all of a sudden all the stars align, blah, 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 and all. It's great, right? You know, that's a great selling point for a lot of things as well. But there is some truth to that sometimes. How long do you hold on to what you are hoping for? And sometimes, what I guess my question is how much responsibility do you put on the other partner or party for them to come around, without necessarily putting the responsibility on yourself to come to the table with 100% and also come to the table with 100% communication?
50%.
100.
I don't know. What are these numbers?
I mean, 50%.
You're time, it happens all the time?
No, you're 50%
Sex
of the conversation.
Okay.
Maybe 50%. It
should be.
To what you just said, it depends on the relationship and what the situation is.
Correct.
If you're talking about like a business partnership, you know, you're doing what you can, they got to do what they can. I think more so when you're talking about, say, a personal relationship, it's not 50-50. You're not going to survive on 50-50. It's got to be 100-100.
Okay. I know what you're saying there. Yeah.
You need to give 100% of everything you can, and that person needs to give 100% of everything they can. If you're both half-assing it, you're whole-assing it. So
that t-shirt.
That's a redneck saying if I ever heard one.
Both half-assing it. What was it?
If you're both 50% in it, you're half-assing. Or
no,
you're both
half-assing it, you're whole-assing it.
Yeah, it's got to be your
both
bull.
halves. It's got to be your bull.
If you stick your head up a butcher's ass.
No, it's got to be his bull.
But no,
that's all he did.
But no, I think whether it's a personal relationship, a friendship, whatever the case, like, you have to be willing to be all in. If the other party doesn't meet you there, okay, where do you go from then? How much do you then put in? But you need to be willing to go all in if that is a relationship you truly care about keeping. I've had some friendships that I've put myself out there and the other party didn't, and it's like, all right, cool, you do you. I'll be here.
But when is that time frame?
It's different.
I don't know if that body language is because you're cold or if it's because you're talking in this manner.
I'm just talking.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm warm enough.
Like what's say if you like,
I think you have to give the other party an opportunity.
How many opportunities?
First and foremost, you have to give that 100%. You have to be prepared give everything, and that takes a lot of it. And the topic of begin again, I mean, that's the whole thing, is that the endings, the beginnings, and everything else is that while you're in the midst of it, are you fully committed to yourself? And this is an old school, Jake. This is it, where it's like the hand in front of your face thing.
Yeah.
This, you laugh at that, but I think this has always been a relevant thing. But this is that inner circle thing, and I think we're back at that, where it's like, are you taking care of yourself? Then the people that are important to you, are you being 100% for that? And then go beyond that. If you're not ready to go beyond that, then stay with you and your people.
I know, but we always talk about that. And when we say that standpoint, we always come from the perspective of us, the people that are doing the right things in our eyes. Why do we never like give the issue back to the person that's not doing what they're supposed to be fucking doing?
So what I'm saying is that as long as
do you know what I mean though?
Yes, but
we're
let me
always talking.
Let me tie this into the lessons that we were talking about earlier.
Okay.
When
can we go back to that point?
Well,
I got time.
I mean,
when we were
I'm listening.
No, when we were talking about earlier, is that you aren't always, not you, but people aren't always listening or open to the lessons that are coming their way, right?
Correct.
So you may or may not be giving. You might be fully committed to how you're feeling or how you're thinking, but you may walk into the situation without open ears,
Correct.
without being open to it.
But what if you are?
If you are, then that's what I was saying, is you go into it. That's what I say. You start with yourself. You better be like, part of that is not, so if you want to be working for someone, or if you want to be with someone,
right,
you walk into it fucking angry. You walk into it like, you're not doing
I don't
this.
mean it like that.
No, but that's what I'm hearing from you, is that, like, what if they're not doing something right? That's where you're already at. You're walking into the situation angry.
No,
They're not doing it. I'm saying is that if you can communicate, and you
you're
know
angry.
exactly what's that?
If you communicate that you're angry in a respectful manner.
No, I'm saying is that if you can be ready to hear what they have to say, and you can articulate what you want and ask them questions, not trying to put them in a corner or make them do what you want them to do.
You're not trying to bully the other party.
You're not trying to bully the other party. That's where I'm saying that's the difference, is that you are open for this life lesson, that this may or may not work out. And this is an honest conversation. This is something that, this is how I'm feeling, and I am ready to hear what you have to say so that I can actually listen to it. It may not be the answers I want.
Right.
But
And
going into it, a lot of times I feel like it is, you're either, these are the things I want to hear to make me happy. And if you don't say those things, or even if I try to manipulate or aggressively push you to say those things, even though you're not feeling those things, that's short-lived, because it's not the way it's going to be.
Can't control the other person's reactions to what you say.
That's what I was trying to get at.
I think we're probably going at different angles, because that's what I was trying to say as well, is that if you are truly trying to take care of yourself and the people that are important to you, if they are in Nate's, whatever the situation is that they're not on the same page, then it's how much time do you give them? But at the same time, you're not trying to force a situation that's not going to happen. Or
Correct.
isn't happening right then.
Correct.
Yeah,
And then you want to know why,
Yeah.
and you can't fix it all the time. You can't force it. That's where it's like, do you give it more time, or do you as long as you've given it
this
your
is
all?
the reality.
So and I had said how I felt about the situation, and then there were actions taken to make that situation better. And then afterwards, come to find out, that person also wanted to make the situation better. They were just too scared to speak up.
If you both are trying to, or whoever it is, if you're
Like the
if
other
you're trying to
part-
make the situation better, that's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but
Absolutely.
but not everybody
But
is communicative. Is
That other party
Clearly,
yeah, exactly.
in that situation, they weren't for a long
That
time.
that other party was
I understand.
was nervous
Yeah.
about communicating that or taking the action to actually do that.
because of afraid of your response.
Not afraid. No, not afraid of how I would respond.
Or just nervous in general.
Just nervousness in general.
Okay.
Like it was something that
And they had to feel comfortable
yes,
explaining themselves to you and open up to you.
yes.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't something they were comfortable talking about, dealing with.
But isn't that like a euphoric moment though? Like I love that moment.
Yeah.
Because Alicia and I did that same thing 2 years ago.
Yeah. Finally had that conversation.
Love
and
that.
came to that agreement.
And that's what I was trying to
Oh
get.
my gosh, why didn't we talk about this sooner?
I know.
Why didn't you?
Well,
We just said that.
like I said, I had brought it up sooner, but like the other person, and that's the other thing. Like I'm close with that other person. Why that other person didn't feel comfortable bringing it up to me? The only thing I can think about is just their nerves.
Their nerves or their fear or
I mean, they have complete trust in me,
right.
but
That's not what it's about though.
yeah, it's more their comfortability.
Correct.
So are you at a begin again stage with
Oh,
this?
absolutely.
This is why I'm been the 17,000 time member on this. I like to bring it back
Full
around.
circle.
There it is.
Yeah.
So are you at a
Spencer
new,
just repeats the topic of
it's on the board. I can see
On
it.
the board.
I do too, but apparently I have a point every time I say it. You know, Jake's like, well, every time we do that, though.
That's not what I meant. I just mean that like I notice just with our conversation as friends,
Sure.
we've literally gotten in multiple arguments about this is that
No, the night is young.
no, I'm not trying to start up an argument. I'm just saying the facts. The
Here
fact
we go.
is
We need
when
viewers.
I've come to Steve with my relationship issues in the past,
Yeah.
is it's mostly about me and what I've been brought, if I may paraphrase what Steve has told me.
I wanna
He
know.
has no, to Steve's paraphrasing,
Marbles.
he has no, he's not affecting their decisions. He's talking to me. So the only person that he can talk to about this is me. So therefore,
Certainly.
the lesson has to be me. But if you're talking to someone with an issue with a significant other or another party, if you're trying to give a lesson in that regard, what my issue has been in the past with Steve was that if I'm doing everything right, and I'm not just saying that because I want to be right, I've done the steps, I've given the person their time, I've given the openness, I've asked the questions, and they're still not producing, not what I want to hear. They're just not producing. And I think it goes back to like what Nate just said is like for some reason, there's some people out there that just will not give you either their heart or their realness or their integrity because they're fearful, they have anxiety, and that can come from tens of million other different situations that don't even involve you. But as long as like you're open to it and stop being in my relationship and my example in this, for me it was the fact that I had to stop getting frustrated with the situation, even though I was being open. But it sucks that you have to break yourself all the way down to just get that little bit of sunshine.
You don't though.
But you do, because that's, if you're going in full, that's what you have to do.
So
that's what I did.
Or you figure out which your breaking point is.
right. That's where I'm at with that.
I know,
so.
but if I would have done that, then Alicia and I wouldn't be together. So what my
Well,
point is
so
that
no one's rooting against a relationship like that. It's when a friend comes.
but that's
to
what you guys just said, right?
Not at all.
Okay.
So no,
That's what I said.
to a point, it's what is your breaking point? If you haven't reached it, then it's not there, and you keep going down that road.
If you both want to keep getting better.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You're
Whatever
talking
that means.
to so like you two, Nate and Jake, are talking to Spencer and I. We are both divorced, and he's married now, and I am engaged to be married. It's not taking things
And
lightly.
Nate is married and Jake is engaged to be married.
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. No, I'm saying like this is not something that you encourage to. And I think, Jake and Nate and Spencer know that I'm not. All right, Spencer, you stay out of this.
Thank you.
But I'm not.
The three of us are very close.
Yeah, I figured all.
No, I've never been one to say fuck that job. Fuck that relationship. Just run away from that. It's always give it your all. And I tell you what, to be personal, Jake, to what you're saying there is that when I first met Kristen, she was going through a separation, and it was a social atmosphere. and it became with that group of friends, it was like friendly and all that stuff. And then she reached out to, like, not reached out, but like we were talking about relationships, and she was asking me about like online dating. She was talking about like all this stuff where I was at, because I'd gone through a breakup. And so I was very honest with her, because I knew where she was at. So I told her flat out, and her request of to me of like, what do you think about this? Is I say, give it your all. Same shit as I told you. Same shit as I told Nate. I tell anyone is I am not an expert on this, but I'm not a therapist that I've got both people in front of me that I'm like doing a marriage counseling thing. I've been through marriage counseling, but I said, make sure you gave everything you have. And as soon as if you feel like you don't want it anymore, give it everything you have again. And then, make sure that you are making yourself happy, and ask yourself why you're not happy with that current situation. Can you fix it? All those things. It's literally save everything that you've been convicted and also committed yourself to. And if it's not working, then life is short. So make sure you're happy.
Yeah, you got 60 years left of this. You got 70 years left.
I've got less than that, but
I was talking to them.
but
Three of us
to what you're
lucky.
saying, Jake, my whole thing is that you want things to work for your friends. You want everything to be good. You want it to be easy.
Happy.
You want for yourself to be happy and things to be easy. And again, it hasn't been all the time. But one thing I will say from my personal relationships, as you guys are kind of talking about that, is that Kristen and I, in the 3+ years that we've been together, in the beginning were those hard conversations where I was literally saying like, no, you need to deal with that and give it your all, and hearing from someone that I'm trying to, and it's like, cool, give it more your all, and make sure that you will be happy with where you're going with that, no matter what. And hopefully at that point we'll be friends. And we've had a lot of the tough conversations, the very hard conversations that her and I have had. And I have kind of tried to, for the most part, translate that to my professional career with my job now, is not just to hold back, not also to just fire from the hip. It's always like, all right, what do I want to convey to this situation? What if I am unhappy? If I'm happy, whatever it is, it's always just not over communicating, but just communicating. And when things are maybe not going smoothly or going the way that either party wants it to go, is I don't want to say demanded, but I've requested that the other party, whether it be Kristen, whether it be my job, whether it be friends, is to do the same.
And what are the non-negotiables?
What are the non-negotiables? I will say my friendships, not at this table, but other friendships. And I mean that, not just to deflect that from this table, but I have friends, when I'm looking at inviting people to my wedding, for example, I have had friends that I have given like the nights of the podcast to invite them over to my house, all that stuff. And it's like, have I been invited? Have they come to it? Like, if they aren't engaged in that relationship with me in any arena, I will express that to the point I feel comfortable with and how much investment I have in that. And if it's not there, okay.
People also,
It's
so
not-
I've never heard you say that, and that's really good.
Well, into that,
I mean, like,
you don't necessarily reach out to that other party and say, you know what, I've done all these things for you. You've never done any of these things for me.
right.
I'm not
Done.
saying that.
No.
It's more of, I've done this. I'm not going to waste my energy,
Yeah,
my time, my mental state.
But that's to my point.
If that person, if that other party wants involvement, they can reach out.
Yeah.
But and I've done that same thing with friendships.
Sure.
I've done that thing where, there were people that were in my life that I at one point in time considered very, very close friends, but then things just became too toxic, and I had to just kind of cut them out a little bit and just not see or listen to whatever it was they were saying.
Right.
And there were times I was like, gosh, I wonder if that person realizes what I've done. Like that I'm just not even talking to them anymore. And then you all of a sudden you go by and it's been 8 years and you're like, nope, that person hasn't once reached out to me or talked to me about, hey, I haven't heard from you in so long. Well, obviously, I don't matter much to their life. So
People show you who they are, so you might as well believe them.
There you go.
There, that's
I'm
why.
saying
I like
Spencer
that.
Lappin.
Yeah,
I like
He
that.
commented on
but
my
I
feed.
mean,
Said,
yeah,
"Spencer Lappin."
eventually people, their
Like the shot.
actions, their words, at some point you just got to believe what they're saying, right? Might come up from 2 different point of views or 3 different point of views, but people will show you who they are, so might as well believe them. But then you got to figure out what like I said earlier, the non-negotiables.
Yeah.
But I do believe in everything. There are crazy ups and downs that you cannot predict. God makes a plan. You laugh, all that good stuff, or he laughs.
Well, you have to laugh because you'll
You-
go crazy.
Right. You have to laugh. But at some point you're like, all right, this is the situation I'm dealing with. It's obvious where that person or those people, their point of view is. So, all right, you can either accept it, but you're not going to convince someone to come over to your side necessarily.
No.
well,
You just have to understand where they're coming from.
You also have to make the determination. Is that relationship, whatever it is, personal, friendship, business, is it worth the amount of work and effort that you are going to have to put in just to get something in return?
Yeah.
Well, there's always the majority thing, right? Too, is that in any relationship,
Nobody
yeah,
likes hearing that. But yeah.
personal.
You're
You
right.
guys are gonna hate this, but I'm gonna kill this.
But no, it's one of those friendship things.
Like,
Like,
save some for you.
you know,
No, I didn't think so.
if you constantly
Nope.
invite
Didn't
someone
hear
over,
you say it.
I mean, Steve's talked about this on the podcast numerous times. Steve is invited, whether obviously at the last house, he just moved into this one, but
No one knows my address other than you guys.
yep. So
Is this Steve's garage?
so
The sign's over there.
Is it?
Yeah, it's right over there. Look at
I
it.
get a new one,
It's on the
Stephen
street.
Kristen's.
Ah,
I got a pizza place when I tried
No.
to tag this way.
Steve has gone out of his way to invite
I'm going on my way.
people that were
no,
close to
it's-
him and friends of his to come over and hang out for barbecues and holidays and get-togethers and Super Bowl parties and all this stuff. And he, there are some people that he's not gotten a response from, or they've never shown up. And Steve's putting it out there, and that other party's never given anything back. So if Steve,
But life gets in the way. It always
if
not, it's
Steve's
not always
got-
convenient, right? I mean,
Sure,
that's part of it.
if
We've
that-
only been here for 2 months.
if the other party's going through some life shit,
Only 2 months.
we all get that. Shit happens. Life happens.
Seems like home.
But if everything you talk, like if you talk to that person and everything's going fine in their life, but then they never show up to be there, like at what point do you just, all right, like I'm going to stop making the effort because obviously I've made effort. You're not making effort. I'm just going to not make effort. If all of a sudden time goes by and that person reaches out like, hey man, I haven't received an invite. We haven't talked. We haven't hung out. That's one thing that can change the conversation and bring it back to a new beginning, like the topic. But if that person never reaches out ever again, it's like,
I think that there
Now I know where
are,
they
you
are.
can simultaneously, to the topic here, begin again and also, to a sense, keep the door open, right? So you can kind of not give up, but just, it's all right. Like
Giving up's not the right word.
No, but I look at, so I have a good friend of mine. You guys all know him at some point, like
What's
Rob Mazer, Big Rob.
Big Rob.
So Big
Oh.
Rob is in recent years, I've known him since my senior year. So
He's one of
20
your
plus years
closest friends.
on and off.
Yeah.
And of recent years, it's been, well, Jake more recently, like, on and off, honestly, because when you moved to Indianapolis, we can't hang out weekly. We don't talk. It's just, but it's when you reconnect, whatever the reason is, it's like no time has passed. It's the same as shit. You know what I mean?
That night of burn
It's
was
all
fun
good.
as hell, by the way.
Yeah.
Opening night.
Soft opening.
Sweet.
Yeah.
It's a soft opening. Back in the day, we used to just open.
Split a Louis 13 amongst 7 of us.
Yeah.
Thanks to your financial advisor friend. Yeah.
Yeah, he owes
Who was
me
in your
money.
wedding?
He still
No,
owes
that
me
was
money.
the grand opening, though.
I was told it was soft opening, but that's fine.
Well, Rocky and Nish were both there,
I know.
so I don't think it was very soft.
I know. I offended,
Hard open.
I offended Nish, I think, by not inviting him to the 10 event because Rocky was coming.
Rocky's coming?
He was that year. No,
That year it was.
Don't do it.
That was 2019. March. Well,
no,
you guys, you're glad that you didn't because it was COVID.
2020. It was going to be the 2020.
Yeah,
Well, yeah. My Facebook memory just came up that I canceled it 5 days before.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
and I still came.
Uh-huh.
I still came to town.
Yeah, that was the 10 event that never happened.
I still came to town.
No, but I that is what
You
I
guys
was
are
using.
wild, bro.
Big Rob as an
Fuck it.
example was that I put my effort in, and life happens, and Rob and I didn't really hang out much for years, and then we did because Jake and Alicia were there at a New Year's party
In the back of his Cadillac.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
great time. And but then you don't talk again for a while. You have those friends that you just you put it out there until you don't, but you don't necessarily close the door. And I think that's sometimes appropriate and sometimes it's not. I know that
Doesn't make it any less hard
doesn't make it any less hard
for the party that wants to hang out.
Now,
And-
when people shut the door, and I won't get into details with that part, but in the lives of our social circle recently, that there have been some closed off relationships, and Spencer knows about this. I think Nate, Jake, I don't think you know about this as much, but I see people that are in their 30s and 40s that I struggle to wrap my head around on how some people react to situations where it's literally shown through social media, blocking and ending friendships over that. And that's how they express themselves. They don't use their words. They don't express their feelings. And
Because that's easier.
That's right.
wow.
It's lazy on their part.
It's easier.
Is it?
They're
It's easier on their part.
It's amazing though.
They're scared
when
of the conflict.
No,
Because it's
it's
easy to block
confront-
somebody and alienate somebody and never talk to them again.
So I will say this though, is there is a for those people out there, I'm not going to say details on this one.
Nate.
There are relationships in the circle that the words have been said that there is this. No, listen, this is
Packing up the soundboard.
this doesn't affect me a whole lot. And then over the following weeks and months, there is a lot of effort of going through social media and making changes in who they follow, who they don't follow, who they block. And it's like, oh, this doesn't affect you. This is your way of doing a new beginning or beginning again, is by spending the following weeks and months and going on social media and intentionally putting energy into not doing this. Yeah, clearly you're at peace on this.
That's their way of getting peace.
Yep.
Have we learned anything?
No.
Wonderful.
I mean, to your question, Spencer.
I did.
I mean,
1 out of 4 ain't bad.
Thanks for tuning in to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone.
We'll begin again next week.
Jake and Spencer won't be here
Same time next year.
I'm a new me every week.
ever.
New house. Here it is.
New, yeah.
Delete my address.
Fuck it.
you're blocked from the driveway.
yeah. I'm not allowed in the driveway anymore.
You can't park on the streets out here after midnight.
Well, they're gonna be shit out of luck.
No, there are people in my life that I've cut out either because of negativity or that party never putting in any effort. If those people were to put in effort, or they were to put in an effort to not be the negative person that they've been for the last 8 years,
Yeah.
like I'm still open to having a friendship or relationship with that party.
I think relationships and friendships
I've gone
evolve.
as far as I can.
Yeah, sure.
Fair enough.
And if that person's not willing to put in any effort, or I don't mean enough to that person to put in any effort, that's fine. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
It's the mean.
Like, I'm
what
still
you're saying.
gonna.
I don't think it's the you mean enough all the time. Like, it's like Spencer came over and Jen, came over, and literally, like you had forgotten that as you get older, shit's happening with the relationships. That you guys are having a baby. It was like, oh, but we still have this. There is more effort sometimes put on these adult relationships. No one at this table right now has a kid. You have a kid, sort of
On the way.
We'll see.
I don't.
Wow. No, he will.
But my point is that
It's there.
You have those relationships. Jake moved. Hey, Jake moved away. You know what I mean? Like people move away.
Friendship change.
Friendship.
The
dynamic.
that
The dynamic of friendships change, but it's. Jake invited me out to Indianapolis several times, and I went out for the soft opening. That was the only time I went out there. You know what I mean? And I got to see him, thankfully, because his job then brought him back to Columbus, right?
Yep.
And brought you back to the state of Ohio. And but I think that there is something that I've learned this from Kristen, actually.
Yeah.
Through her changes of her relationship or her marriage.
Yeah.
Or
Well, and she's
marriage.
traveling. Too,
Well, she travels a little bit, but it's more of we have a shared calendar. That's the begin again for me, is that like we're psyched about this. You know what I mean? Like these are very stressful times for us if you look at it in a positive or negative way. Sometimes positive stress is good, but
you've always been one for routines. Like this is like your wheelhouse. Like if you get in a routine with Kristen, then it's
well,
with the
my
shared
wheelhouse
calendar.
is not
It's like
necessarily selling a house that's safe and buying a house that's not as easy.
yeah, but that's all outliers.
Those are real things that we deal with.
I'm not saying that they're not real. I'm just saying they're the outliers to your guys' relationships. Like from the outside looking in, and you saying that you have like a shared calendar, like that's pretty special. And like knowing you as you are, like if you guys get in a routine and she's got her travel schedule, you got your work, like, and then you guys plan your lives around, and she has her friends that she wants to rekindle stuff with from stuff
The
that
shared calendar is what makes it a little easier because we
Yeah.
are communicating.
that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
What are you doing?
High five.
I don't like it, but
He hates high fives.
but the
I agree
nice
with the
thing
shared
about it,
calendar.
the nice thing about it is
I was
that
anti, and it's made my life a lot easier.
but so
We have three
so
Why?
because I have one on my desk, I have one on the fridge, and we have one on our phones.
yeah, the one on the phones
So
is great
nothing
for us
gets
is because one of the
up.
things that we have been able to communicate with, and on ours is not this weekend, obviously, but the following Friday we have a dinner with Spencer and Jennifer and another couple of friends. Is we are trying to, in a sense, you say over communicate, or I say over communicate, but it's communicate. It's what are you doing? And then when she has her stuff going on that may conflict, if you will, with our shared time.
Yeah.
If I have to, like I'm putting it on my calendar that like, tomorrow I have to drop a check off to the accountant, I have to go to the post office and all that stuff, is that there are those moments that it's like, these are those things that we share as a couple. And I never did that before. It's not necessarily, and I appreciate what you're saying, Jake, is it's not necessarily routine, is that this is the new routine is constantly the flex between the partners. And I've learned that also with my job. It's been nice being able to, in that sense, with Brian, who owns Tinder Box, is for me over communicating. When I say I communicate more and I try to talk about this event coming up, is that this is what I'm doing. This is all that stuff. And he's focused on certain parts of it. But I'm saying, okay, yeah, what can I do to help you? And also, this is what I've gone through the last few days. I've in that sense, and this is literal, I've over communicated with the Columbus Fire Department by sending multiple emails
About what the fuck's going on
and
on
over
Sunday.
communicating.
Do they know we're having a tent with a lot of people smoking in it?
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. No, you just have to have every flap open, because sometimes it's
No.
a flammable membrane,
No,
and
it's
the cigar is going to catch a massive tent that's the size of a fucking football field
Smell
on
like
fire.
vanilla in the hair.
Yeah. Everybody's gonna die.
You wrapping it up? Close your mark, Spencer.
To begin again.
Spencer Davis Group. Everybody.
Yeah, I'm good.
You can't know where you've been
There you go.
if you don't know where you've been.
Close your marks.
Thank you. I think there's a lot of begin again moments in our lives, just constantly. I think you just have to be open to that. Whatever you think is constant routine, the status quo, it's going to change constantly. And as you get older, the changes are bigger, more impactful, more important. And that's just the changes that you had at in your young 20s are very different than the changes you have in your late 30s, early 40s. And you just have to embrace the new beginnings and enjoy them. And then also, know where you came from as well. But I don't think begin again is a bad thing at all. I think it's a good thing. And coming here, doing the first podcast with all of us here in the garage is a new beginning. It's a new setup, and very grateful to Jake and to Steve for starting this podcast, for Nate for taking it over. And I'm just very thankful that we have began the podcast again.
That's good.
In the garage.
But it's good.
And
God.
Good luck following that.
Yeah. I'm gonna let Nate go.
Easy.
Okay. So beginning again, I think it boils down partially to what do you want out of the situation?
The new beginning.
Whether it be with a spouse, whether it be with a friend, whether it be with a job, what is it that you want out of it? You have to figure that out first. That's the first step.
Okay.
What's not working and what do you want out of it? And then you have to communicate that to the other party. And then that other party needs to respond. And then based off that response, like depending on what situation that is.
Even if it's not a response.
That is the response.
It is exactly.
No answer is the answer sometimes.
That is them giving an answer.
Yeah.
So
that's what I thought. I just want to make that point.
So you need to judge like how important is that
so subtle
relationship. If you're talking about a job, if you go to your boss, you're like, hey, this is what's going on with work. This is what I'm dealing with. These are some changes I think need to be made, or these are the things that I want. If the job then doesn't respond whatsoever, or they just sit there and go, meh, no. Okay. Now you need to make a decision. How long do you stay at that job, or do you change jobs? Changing jobs is easy.
You stay on that path.
Changing friendships or changing relationships or marriages, that's a whole nother ball of wax.
Jobs are easier than marriages.
Jobs are easier to change.
You don't have to give a shit.
When you're talking about a relationship, like there's a lot more invested in a relationship than necessarily in a job.
Yeah.
Even though a lot of us, if you were to ask any of us, we probably spend more time during the day doing our job than we do our relationship.
Yeah.
That's true.
But it affects
the relationship. The relationship has more meaning. The relationship that all four of us have with
together?
No.
Oh.
Our
hot tub?
Our ladies at home.
Okay.
We might Nate, I'm so sorry. We might get a hot tub out back. Not right now. We don't have one. In the future.
No, the relationship that all four of us have with our ladies at home is far more important than the relationships we have with our employers.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
if things are going bad with our employer, Spencer, you have your own business.
I got bosses, man. Everyone's got bosses.
He has the clients that actually.
Yeah. I got manufacturers.
It's just when he changes jobs, it's more personal.
But like, if things don't go well at our job for an extended period of time, we start looking for other jobs. With a relationship, with the person that we're at home with, the person that we are the most intimate and the most vulnerable with, there's a little bit more leeway.
Yeah.
But the important thing is we still communicate, like, here's what's going on. Here's what I see as a problem. We need to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, and I think all four of us are with people that if we bring up an issue, they are going to want to talk about that because they are as invested in the relationship as we are. When it comes to employers, there's that running joke. If you die today, your employer is going to have your job posted before your funeral.
Right. Yeah.
Our significant others aren't necessarily going to be doing that.
Right.
There's a lot more invested on their part as well.
Yeah.
We all hope. So
Yeah.
There's a little bit more leeway to that, but it all boils down to communicating, like, what's working, what's not.
Mm-hmm.
Because the other party, and this works both ways in a relationship, the other party can't read your mind. So if things aren't working well, or they're not going the way you wish they would, you cannot rely on the other party to read your mind and go, oh, something's wrong. Now, you can be emotional, you can be closed off, you can be a dick all you want, and maybe then at that point that person will be like, you know what, something's wrong with you, like, what's going on? But if you just sit there and say nothing, I'm fine,
You're a high school student.
do not expect any change.
Also, winning the argument is not a win as well.
Feels like it's
That's subjective.
Does it?
Jen says, tub.
Okay, we're getting hot tub.
Well, I think we're getting a hot tub.
Yeah.
You guys are going to be over here.
Hot tub.
You already have the sauna that we have to buy too.
I like hot tubs.
Just invite me. I'll drive.
But
Can I try some of that 1792?
But the important thing is,
Thank you, sir.
That slaps.
regardless of what level of relationship it
worse.
is, you have to be willing to communicate what it is that you want in that relationship.
Yeah.
What you're willing to do
Mm-hmm.
for that relationship. And hopefully you have to give that other party time to respond to that as well. You can't necessarily ask of that other party things that are beyond what they're capable of or what they're comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do it within the bounds of that relationship. But communicating it is the first step. And then be receptive to any concerns that other party may have as well. Because you can't just necessarily go into it with just your feelings. Your feelings are the only ones that matter. You have to take in the other party's feelings as well, and at some point come to an agreement or a middle ground. That doesn't necessarily mean you both lose. If you both have issues and you agree on something, that's a win for both parties.
Should be, right? Or could be.
It should be.
Could be, should be.
Yeah. So, the first
long run should be.
Yeah. But you have to communicate that in the first part, but then also give them a chance to respond. And like I said, depending on what the level and the dynamic of that relationship, whether it be a person in our personal lives, our spouses, a friend, our job, like we all have different levels that we want them to respond. And you go from there.
Jake, what do you got?
I think Nate covered all the bases there.
That's a good closing remark.
Yeah.
Spencer, you're good too.
I blacked out.
No.
What happened?
One more time.
No, it's tough. Like, I don't know. One thing that like bugs me, like with some conversations, is like always, like there's always like a depends person, right?
Sure.
Like things depend, but it's not without saying that it literally everything depends on like a certain cause, and then there is an effect. So
there's a lot of moving factors
to everything,
absolutely.
And it's like when you're trying to navigate like this thing we call life, it's especially like when you're trying to figure it out on your own, which I've like taken that to like my own passion, right?
You've like your life has dictated that in a sense. You know, you've taken a lot of like life choices when you moved to Indianapolis. You moved back here.
Yeah,
I think that you've done that, and it's very respectful that like and you and Alicia have done that together. But like career wise, like you just celebrated 30 years of your life.
Yep.
And I will say that, and I'm sorry to step on this, but there are, I say very few, no 30-year-olds that have done the life growth that you have done along with Alicia since college, career-wise, personal life, like moving-wise. Like this is not normal anymore.
A lot of windshield time too. A lot of time.
Well,
but I'm saying like, you know, this is something that when I look at like, you know, at my parents, you know, they did a lot, but before I was born, you know, they were following my father's career. And it was, you know, my mom was doing social work and she graduated with that degree. But it was one of those things is that it was you follow the career that makes sense for the couple. And anymore, it I don't think it exists as much. And so you are much
not if you want to succeed in your own way.
No, but together too. That's what I mean. The economy. It was whereas like you guys, you know, when you were here and you were doing all that stuff, and then it's like you followed it to Indianapolis and you guys did that, and all of a sudden it's like you guys you were being successful and you chose to take another career path. And I'm not trying to blow smoke up your skirt or anything like that, or hijack this. Is that it's very interesting that, you know, what you guys have done in your 30 years together, if you will. Like you guys are around the same age.
It's all been together.
It's amazing to see that you guys have done what you've done. That is not the typical American path right now.
Yeah, not anymore.
It's not.
To do atypical things, to have atypical results, you got to do atypical things.
Just celebrated 11 years.
Been together 11 years.
Yeah. Been engaged for 3.
But that's my point is that you've done all these things. You've experienced life together.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. This was, I don't want to say it was typical back in the 60s, 70s, but it's like you guys would have probably had like 1.5 kids by now.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was like in the midst of that, as you guys have balanced today's culture and the old school culture, is that you guys have done your thing together.
Yeah.
And now you have a nice home, you have this life together, and you have
great hair.
Thank you.
I wasn't going to go there.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah.
No, you're good.
I didn't want to talk about hair. I've got a cigar.
Yeah, but no, thank you, Steve. No, I agree. I try not to boast about like the stuff.
Talk about hair.
I don't want to talk about hair. The only like hair I have is turning gray.
That's fucked up, bro.
Mid-40s, man.
No, for me,
I thought it'd be different.
It's like that 32, bro.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't.
I don't like to like boast about what we like,
boast
like do.
Please boast.
But I think when like Alicia and I are together, like we have to boast to each other because, and I think, you know, a lot of people was kind of crazy. Like when we moved back and we like moved out to Zanesville because it is far from like any like massive city. And every time that I talk to like, you know, old, and this is kind of all encompassing in what we're saying, because I've learned about the friendships and deciphering what is a friendship and what is an acquaintance. And I've really
love that.
I've dropped people back on my list. I've put people up on my list. And to your point, Nate, and understanding like when you get out of school and you get out of college and you're supposed to do everything that's right and you're supposed to get that white picket fence and have the 2 kids and the boy and the girl and grow up, it's very hard to understand what that is in today's day and age as, you know, a younger man or woman. And for us, I think it'll just go back to like one of Steve's like old metaphors, fuck me.
Why are you so upset about that?
Because it just makes me laugh. I'm not.
Let him say what the metaphor is before you judge it.
Yeah, it's
Could
just
be,
like
could be one of the good ones. I doubt it, but it could be a good one.
Did I have any?
Yeah.
well, the hands in the face and the.
Oh, you frown on that.
No, I don't frown on it. It's just like it.
Forest
It's-
of the trees. Who knows where
You got to
There's
understand
shits in
that.
the woods.
You got to understand that it's like a son and a father almost saying like, "Fuck you, you were right." Like, get off it, you know. Like, and then so.
Steve's always been a son to you.
Well, but yeah.
I've not been a father figure to anyone.
Crazy uncle, man.
I don't even.
No, drunk uncle.
Drunk
There you
uncle.
go.
I don't even. I don't
Cheers
even.
to that.
Yeah.
He's a step uncle. Yeah, it's fine. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Jake.
I don't remember where the metaphor was, anyways. But I think
Spencer.
for us, like, oh, that's what it was. It's like you just keep moving forward, and so, you know, that's something that like Steve's like always said on this podcast, and I think like regardless of like our arguments on this podcast and what we've discussed, like from episode like 1 was like fucking relationships and moving forward and always growing and getting better. And I think that like to your point, Steve, and like what you said, and I greatly appreciate the compliments, but I decided that this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be involved with cigars and tobacco and spirits, and I had a real passion for it, even though it was something that was against like my family's kind of traditional values. And, you know, we took a shot, and Alicia said, "Where do you sign?" And we did it, and it turned out to be great. And the 3 years that I was at Burn, I learned a lifetime
3 years
of
Jesus
experience. I learned a lifetime of experience about owning a business and managing people, and at a very, very young age.
Christ. Not
And
wanting to be a part of the bar culture.
correct. And understanding like what my limits were,
Yeah.
you know, when you, and I think this is all encompassing. So I want to get to the point and not make it like very, outwinded, but it's, you know, when you wake up, you know, one morning and you realize that you just crashed the car of your dreams, and like
Damn.
you know, you're trying to get back to your car, and you had a buddy pick you up, and you make sure that everything's okay. And you go through that instance, and you realize that like your life could have been over, you know, you have to make a change. So like, even though, you know, I still stay out late and I do my thing, like I know where my line is anymore. And I think that was like a big lesson for me back then. And that has kind of catapulted my lessons in life when it comes to this job, because being a cigar sales rep, like Nate did it, like Steve's in sales, and so is Spencer. It's like when you're on the road, and even when you're out with your guys or whatever, or you're with your friends, it's easy to get caught up in the moment. And I want to get caught up in the moment. Like that's what I want this style of friendship. I want this, but it's easy to get stuck in that revolving door of waking up with red eyes and an ash, you know, covered truck or car, and you realize that like you're just like whittling away, and even in your 20s, and then you end up, you know, trying to gain something from that, and you learn from it, and then you realize that you got to get out of whatever you love. And Burn was my love for 3 years. And then you find a business, and I'll argue, like, you know, Nate, I think that I'm very like privileged that I found a company that I don't want to say that I'm irreplaceable, but I've definitely put a good mark on the company for myself. And, I think that the opportunities are going to keep coming. And a lot of people, even myself, thought at the beginning, it was kind of a stupid move. You know, you have this $6 million building, and you're in charge of it all, and you're only 26. And then you move to a company that may have seemed on the outs at the time, and all they needed was a personality and a person to service the accounts. And then we brought it back.
Well, and to that, how important is it to have someone at home who's in your corner.
Yeah.
And wants you to be successful and pushes you and drives you.
Well, and that's, I mean, without, at one point in time, like Alicia, at one point in time, I thought that I truly believe like there's no way, like whatever the saying is, but I'm going to butcher it. It's like, behind every strong man is a stronger woman. And at one point in time, I believed that, Alicia she kind of kept me at a distance because of the ways that we were living when we were in Indy. And we had to go through that. And we had to, I came to Steve a lot with those questions, and, some of them ended up in arguments, but.
Well, because I don't have the answers for everything, man.
I know. I understand.
I argued with you.
He's like, tell me what to do.
Well, no, it's more than that, but that's another topic. But I think for me, and Jesus, I've already been long-winded, but
George Jonathan Harry.
Yeah, I know. He's already at 10 minutes.
So
he's like, get off of it.
We got to talk about that. I don't think we can tag him anymore.
But anyways, I think for me personally, like I just kept moving. I don't like to. I told Alicia the other day, like when on my birthday, like it may have seemed like motivational for people, but I used to I would look back through like my old videos, like when I was, really in shape, and I was at old school gym, and I was with Corey Gregory and Max Effort Muscle and all that stuff, and I was great, and I'm trying to get back to that. Great. Yeah. Well, I was trying to get back to that, and it's but for me, I look back through those old videos, and it's like looking at a 20-year-old kid like trying to like in Norris Lake giving a video of himself like talking about life. I just look back at that and like, you fucking dumbass. Like you didn't know. Hold on a second. You didn't know anything. And you're living a life through other people because you believe that that's the way that life is supposed to be lived. And you see this lavish lifestyle that has been cultivated for 10, 20 years, and it was built up, and you're supposed to be this motivational person just because you're fit. And for me personally, I look back at that and I'm almost embarrassed. And hold on, it's just because now, yeah, I'm heavier than I ever like have been, but my mind is so much more forward than it ever was back then.
Sure.
And it's more attainable too. I think that's like the most important thing. So like to begin again, I think for me is to begin again is every other fucking week, because I'm constantly learning about myself with the windshield time, with this job, with the hundreds of different people that I involve myself with business and in life, and spending time and I made a mistake last year of trying to spend time with friends and making time with people that I thought were friends. And, when you do that and you're on the road, the business suffers, and then your job becomes a part of it. It goes into jeopardy a little bit. And then you realize that when you're doing something and people won't come to see you, you realize that it's not personal. It's just job. It's the job. And because I love everybody that's around me, but like I said at the beginning of this whole excerpt a little bit, is that I have to distinguish between friendship and acquaintances now. And I have a better understanding of that. But to begin again is every other week for me, man.
Damn.
Well said.
That's good. That's really good.
So,
all right, I think we can wrap it up.
Sorry. Damn.
Wants to let Steve make that choice.
Yeah.
Oh,
An inaugural podcast in the garage, man. You got to say something.
I was just fucking with him.
And the new garage.
And new.
The
garage.
third in how many years? How many years?
7.
7.
7 years.
7.
Jesus.
Talk about
what number episode is this, by the way?
330.
Woo! Man, I never thought I never.
Jake, so Jake pushed for this, right?
The podcast?
Yeah.
We're drinking, we're smoking cigars, so might as well talk about it.
You want to do a bourbon podcast?
That was exactly what the conversation
He was a bourbon aficionado at
bourbon,
one point.
yeah. And we talked about this, and we've talked about it since then.
It had to have depth.
I had to have depth. God forbid. We're going to be another bourbon and cigar podcast where we just talk about bourbon and cigars and the reviews.
That was Steve's ad.
Yeah, they probably do better than this podcast.
They do.
They
No.
do.
No.
They do. They
Ah,
do.
I'm just fucking with you.
No,
No,
I travel a lot. I hear about this podcast so, from other people. So,
the only thing I can add to that, and I appreciate all your guys' comments and conversation about that, is that when it comes to begin again, this podcast is a great example of that. That you can stay true to yourself. You can stay true to your goals, right? But you can also go through life experiences. And this podcast, if you've listened to it, there are very few that have listened to it for 6 to 7 years.
I got to be one of those.
You're one of those.
I'm one of those.
And
you're $5.
I enjoy them. Please post them on iTunes.
Patreon.com /Bourbon BS podcast.
Donate to the cause.
I don't know necessarily why, I don't think I want to play softball this year.
Yeah.
What?
How many years you been playing?
20.
That was a conversation when we first started.
We
this.
did.
It was very difficult.
Yeah, it was very difficult because there are things that you are trying to keep in your life. And with this podcast, I love the fact that we're able to begin again with a new direction of it. And we're going to try to still focus on the bourbon or the whiskey and the cigars and all that stuff. But the life topic is to Jake's point, it's always been something that I've been really, really,
and it's always been good, man. Can I say that?
Yeah.
I've never once
No.
taken that lightly.
No, I think this was a positive. Certain people appreciate it. It's not like cut and dry for clips and all that stuff, but I've learned a lot from all of you out there. And Bobby Hirschman was listening tonight. Bobby Crow was listening. Sean Anderson was listening. The community that we have brought through this is great. And tonight was one that I saw some familiar names and faces on the feed that was really impactful, that they were happy that we were back on. Keep doing the same thing over and over again, and people fade out. And, Smoking 10 event coming up on Sunday, March 16th is something that when I saw that the attendance was dwindling and sales were dwindling, it's like, people they're done with it. They've been there, done that. But I am a firm believer that the excitement that someone that is putting on an event or someone that is living life, people want to be a part of that.
100%.
Fuck yeah. I look forward to it every year, dude.
I know you do.
Everyone does.
Not everyone.
How many times have we heard from other cigar reps that have done multi-vendor events? They're like,
It's the best event.
It is the best, dude.
nothing runs as
It's the
smooth.
best.
And yet at this point, we're lower tickets. So my point is that no matter if you're doing what we're doing with this Smoking 10 event on March 16th, or what we talked about with relationships, this is something that I have devoted myself finally in my life. Maybe I didn't do it as well, but my relationship and my life with Kristen, this is something that I want to continue to express my gratitude. I want to express my frustration, both sides of it.
You should.
To that venture in my life that I am putting effort into. Because as soon as you don't do the highs and lows and you communicate all those things and you address it and you try to correct, you try to put effort into it, if you don't do that, you're going to feel Jake, we were talking about earlier when it came up, you are going to feel either short-lived or shorted or whatever.
Yeah, 100%.
You're looking for this reward. And I think that is if you are looking towards these situations in life, that you will put everything you have that you feel comfortable with, that you feel that you can give towards this. The reception of that is better or worse. You know, you gave it all. You gave everything you can to it. And I think the Smoking 10 event, I think that this podcast, I think our friendships here, our relationships with our significant others, this is what's worthwhile. It's not about the bigger picture all the time. It's, do I have a happy home life? If I'm single, if I have a significant other, if I'm married, if I have kids, no matter what it is that I need to focus on my life. And that's what we were talking about earlier, Jake.
And these 3 hours. These 3 hours are fucking enjoyable too.
Hours. But that's the whole point, is that if you commit yourself, you put yourself out there. If you're phoning in, if you don't want to be there, then it comes across. But I think that this is something that I feel like rewarding yourself is typically because you feel that others are satisfied. Others that are important to your life are happy that you feel rewarded. Jen's happy you're here.
I'm happy I'm here, man. If I'm happy, I'm here. Other people are happy I'm here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Same thing. But I think that this is something that this podcast has really carried through truly for years. My lighter's cold. It's fine. That DuPont?
Mm-hmm.
Of course it is.
That's supposed to mean.
I mean, the man does this for a living, bro.
Steve does. Yeah. He's got his money, Christos.
This I got on Amazon.
That's from our shop.
That's a nice BS case you got there, man.
I brought that specifically.
That's nice.
Specifically for the podcast.
Right.
That's
So
nice.
My point is that I think that beginning again is not always from a fresh start. I think sometimes it comes from a step back. That people will find a new breath of fresh air, a new life in what they want from their life and the people that are important to them. And whether it be a job or whether it be someone, a significant other or family or friends that you've had a little bit of a step back. I think the begin again a lot of times has to be with, again, starting with you and what you expect of that, and you communicate that. Because happiness is, I hate to say it, but happiness is not always on you.
Happiness depends on happenings, and if your happenings aren't happening the way you want them to happen, you won't be happy.
All right.
Holy shit.
All right. Cheers, everyone. I'm going to turn the mouse
Who
on
said
again.
that?
My stepfather,
Oh my God.
when he was a pastor.
You should have told me to restart the mouse here.
And how blessed are we for this weather? I mean, I know it got a little colder at night, but 70 degrees in March in Ohio. Wow.
Super nice.
Wow. And then it's going to piss rain on Friday and Saturday.
I'll be inside a tent.
I'll be inside the Tinder Box.
Well, you guys close it out while I close the podcast.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
Look forward to seeing you both on Sunday
Yes, sir.
for the event.
I'll stop by the shop.
Yeah. Check out Bourbon MBS podcast
We're gonna-
online and the
Tinder Box at Easton
Patreon.
is going to open at 9:30, so that way people who are going to go in line have an opportunity to buy a cigar and smoke it while they are waiting in line.
Can I still get a seat at 10:45?
Yes.
Wonderful.